Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hunter's Gathering. Actually, this is the two-parter finale show, part one of two. I am your host and producer, Markia McCarty. And what Hunter's Gathering is that it's a one-stop chill stop of everything that's behind the games here at Hunter's Entertainment and then the gaming world in general. We're talking everything from art direction, music direction, everything in between. So, with what we are doing with this two-part finale for 2020, and wow, 2020 has been a lot, hasn't it? Oh, it's almost over. Oh, thank God. So with what we're doing is for this first part, we're doing all of our behind in front of the camera stuff. Like we have the Hunters Presents cast with us tonight, and we're going to be breaking down the season for you. In some cases, episode by episode, and others, character by character, and then even others just ridiculous moments that happened during the campaign, and even some stuff that happened behind the scenes during the 10-minute break. So, with this, we will be getting to that for the rest of the show. But before we do that, the second part, part two of our finale, will be everything behind the camera, production wise. So that will be getting into things like Kickstarters and cons like Gen Con and Roll20 Con and so on and so forth. All the stuff that happened behind the camera during this 2020 season. So hopefully you will be joining us next week as well to be able to see the final Hunters Gathering for 2020. Once again, thank God this year is almost over. So for news that we have with Gathering, we actually have some fun stuff for our backers for Altered Carbon. Let's just say keep tuned. Go ahead and check your emails for next week because we should have an update in shipping. So that's all I can say about that right now, but fun times with that. Along with this, our Ragnarok Kickstarter. As you know, Ragnarok, Gods of Metal Ragnarok, is our heavy metal fantasy tabletop RPG. And that Kickstarter is going to be kicking it off in the early part of 2021. In fact, it might be earlier than you think that it might be. So, yes, stay tuned for more things about that happening to you, coming soon to you. Let's say it's a month that begins with January. And along with that, we've listened to you and we've heard what you are saying. The merch that you want is the merch that you're getting. I can't believe that these are now t-shirts. Okay. So if you go to huntersentertainment.com/merch, this upcoming Monday, if you've been following our Tuesday campaign of Outbreak Undead, Rag and Bone, there have been requests for certain stream shirts to come into existence. And guess what? They have. Starting off with the least controversial one, we have a Hunter's Gathering t-shirt. So it is the Hunter's Gathering logo, which is an iconic campfire, which is what we want for y'all to feel like here. We're just like, yes, just come around the campfire and let's swap tails, that kind of a thing. So we do have that available this Monday. Along with that, so we have a shirt that says, "Is this a location hazard?" And it's got a silver print on the front, and it has the Outbreak Undead Rag and Bone logo on the back. I'm definitely getting that one, obviously. And for our third shirt, and actually my absolute favorite, it's Hype Tank, where there is literally a giant tank taking out zombies underneath it. The reason why this shirt exists is because our chat, using their points from Scry, saved our crew of survivors by literally putting a bunch of points in to make a tank appear and crush zombies. And then from then on, Hype Tank was born. So now that is a tank top that you can get starting this Monday. Remember, you can go to huntersentertainment.com/merch to be able to get these t-shirts. And wow, you know what? This is manifestation at its best. So with our panel, which is called Seasons Remembrances, of us breaking down, this 2020 gaming season, I'm actually going to be taking a back seat with this, and I'm just going to be a regular panelist because we have an amazing person that will be doing this for us. You have seen him just about everywhere on the internet in so many different places, so many different games, and including you have seen him in our Altered Carbon campaign here at Hunters Entertainment. Some people might call him Sato, some might call him Patch, but we call him Gabe Hicks. Thank you so much for moderating our panel today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm very excited. I am very happy to talk with all of you about these stories that have come together, including the ones that I was honored to be a part of. You talked about having some amazing, but since you're taking a back seat, we'll just use me instead. But hi, if you don't know, I'm Gabe. You might know me as Gabe James Games on Twitch, Twitter, pretty much anywhere across the internet. I am a voice actor, cosplayer, game designer for tabletop and digital. I do a bunch of things, but that's just because I like to do a bunch of things. And one of those is absolutely storytelling. So I'm so excited to do this Seasons Remembrance panel with you and the beautiful, fantastic other hunters that we have. And honestly, I think it's time that we meet them. Let's see. We have who we have with us. We have Michelle and Louise, two fantastic role players that I am honored to be able to share a table with.
Hi. Good
How are
to
you
see
all
you
doing?
again. I'm good.
Good. Hey, everyone. Hi.
So let's start with cast introductions. And Markia, you started, but you didn't really tell us about you. You just said hi.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I forget to even say my own name at the top of the show. It's like one of those things. Yeah, I'm a podcaster, also TTRPG player. I've played for a number of channels. Like I've had like so much fun with other channels like Hyper RPG, Geek and Sundry. Even did a game for Critical Role, and I just love the gaming community in general. So along with doing that and doing voiceover work, here and there, you'll hear my voice popping up in different places. But primarily, I've been doing producing stuff for Hunters Entertainment, and then for a number of other companies that I can't talk about right this second. But yeah, that's primarily me for 2020.
All right, Michelle.
Hey, I play games. Here on Tuesdays, I play over on Official Paizo with you, Gabe, on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And I have played at Hyper also, Q Times, Saving Throw, the Dragons and Things Network. I feel like I'm missing some stuff, but I can't remember. A lot of charity stuff. But I've been kind of like professional role playing since about 3 years now, I think. It's a really crazy thing to say that out loud. Like, I'm a professional tabletop role player person. But it's, I think if someone pays you to do it, then you kind of have to put the word professional in front of the word, the thing you do. I'm also a show host. I have a lot of videos up over on the Total Nerd channel on YouTube. That is a company that's owned by ranker.com. And I basically do these like deep dive video essays about video games, and it's a lot. It's crazy. We're also like always launching new content over there. Before the pandemic, I was an event producer. So that is not anything. That's just nothing now. But I used to produce like convention booths at like New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con and Anime Expo, and do events and live MC work there as well. So maybe in 2022 that'll happen again. Who knows? But I'm having fun doing a lot of show hosting and role playing for companies now. It's been a joy to interact with fans in a different way.
You do so much. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Definitely a lot. Jeez.
Yeah, that hustle is real.
Mm-hmm.
And Louise.
Hey, I'm an actor, and I am, I guess, a professional tabletop role-playing gamer now too. I know, yeah, that thing. Before this, I don't know how much crossover there is. Maybe people have seen LA by Night, and I play Nines Rodriguez on LA by Night. That's what kind of got me into this, actually. A couple of different shows from there. And sometimes I do TV and commercials and plays. I just remembered that I did a play in downtown LA a couple years ago called Time Alone, which was really, really sad and great. And I'm not, I'm not nearly as busy as like you guys are, but I'm glad that I have friends that are busy, because then maybe they'll pull me into stuff.
It's not a contest.
It's not a contest. No, but I like it. You guys, I love that you guys are busy, because sometimes then, I get invited to do shit.
Yeah.
So that's cool for me.
So you all have been playing through plenty of stories, done so many experiences. So let's talk about the first one on my list. Outbreak Undead, Zombie Year Zero. So for those of you who don't know, the zombie apocalypse is in year zero of many. In this 4-episode arc, we follow Los Angeles survivors on a trek from Burbank, California to Malibu as they search for a ship to evacuate their fellow survivors. They're currently barricaded in a big box store, Coopco, also known as Fort Box. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take you to a clip. In the clip, we have Pharaoh, Madison, and Nathan working together to try and save Bean after being bit with some extreme medical treatment. Let's look.
Absolute hardest to try and calm Bean down. So I'll use both of mine.
What are you saying to her during this?
I'm talking to her, and I'm like kind of stroking her hand a little bit, and I'm like, come on, Bean, you're gonna pull through this. Come on, you got plenty of dumbass kids that you gotta take care of when you get out of here, and plenty of snacks to steal, and plenty of origami starburst wrappers to fold, and annoyed Nathan with as he's trying to be stealthy. You're gonna do this, buddy. You're gonna do this. Come on, pull through. I'll steal oatmeal pies from the kids for you. Come on.
She springs back to life. Yeah, no. Okay, all right. So, right. Yeah, oatmeal pies and revenge. Yes, I'm going to live. Yeah, all right. Nathan?
I rolled a 20. And my slashing is 47.
So that is 2 degrees of success so far. Madison included her too. Would have been a push. So we're at 4 degrees of success right now.
So we only need 5 degrees for it to be spectacular.
Uh-huh.
I rolled a 32 out of 45 for first aid.
So that is 1 degree of success. 5.
Do I need to use any competency points, or are we good?
I'm gonna let Bean use her 2, because hand to God, the number of successes I said you needed to save Bean's life was 7.
Yeah!
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Hashtag save the bean.
Oh, wow.
However, this is incredibly traumatic.
That was a lot. Okay, Michelle.
Yes.
I want to start. A little bird has told me, is it consistently a thing with your characters where something happens to their hand or arm?
Well, look, that was our first campaign we played as a group. So that was it was good team building. A, good job, everybody. B, that just happened. I lost my arm, and then I survived because everyone like pulled together, and that was amazing. But like in every other story, so the next story we did after that, it was like a different campaign. I just had like a kind of an injured arm, and then it does keep getting messed up though. Like in Altered Carbon, I think it gets. Oh, I have a fake arm, so it was like a joke for a little bit, but then things did just keep happening to my arm.
So like Bean set the standard for the future.
Yeah, whoops. That's like I think it's the Hunter's Entertainment curse. Left hands are not
blessing.
That was a good moment, and I think that was like the first kind of running gag we had as a team.
So what? I'm going to start with you, actually, Michelle. What's one of the most memorable moments from that campaign for you?
Oh gosh, I think definitely that. It was a kind of, I think when you play with a new group for the first time, this was the first time us 4 had played together.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the first episodes of like trying to gel together, like who's gonna bounce off who. We don't know. It's all improv. So I really liked it when I just made some weird choices about my character, and then everyone decided like, okay, we have to like protect her because she's stupid. I made my character into a hoarder, and I had like empty chip bags folded up and like placed like all over my jackets and stuff, and that just became like this. I just became like the burden of the team, and I thought that was just really funny. Like that was good. Everyone made some good choices around that. I think that was really memorable to me because not that that thing was important, but just that kind of told and informed me that the relationship I was going to have with these other players as characters and as like real people, like actors, is that we all fucking get it. Oh, sorry. we all get it, and we all are gonna like help each other make a funny or a good story. Like whatever somebody wants to do, they're gonna push it to be better. And I really appreciated that, like at the jump. So I felt like really excited to play with everyone.
Awesome. You got to have a game where survival and life is just generally hard, and that being one of the first times that you get to play with a group of people, I feel like the fact that you bonded so well after that is a huge deal, because it's like, okay, we are going to lose an arm or someone's going to die, and it's basically just a Tuesday. Yeah. And it's like with people that you don't even have that already like relationship with. So that's an awesome way that you got to build that.
Yeah.
What about you, Louise?
I just kind of, well, I mean, I have something to add to that actually, because I think that is one of the most striking parts of this overall experience that I've had with this team is the kind of rapport that I feel like we have. It's what I talk about actually when I'm talking to friends about it. It's just sort of, I don't know. There's a lot to be said about how, you know, we're basically making fake memories together on a weekly basis that I then think about. And what we're doing right now, this whole thing right now is a show where we're recalling all these fake memories. But what's interesting is that it's all, you know, like theater of the mind. And so these moments, like, I know we're going to be talking a lot about them, but like, I remember this moment in my head as it was sort of theatricalized through my imagination, but it's this like fake memory that I have access to. And it's so weird. But along with that, I think one of the things that I think about, there's this one moment in this campaign, our first one together, where I just remember when May, I think it was when we had approached the civilization. I forgot the name of the civilization that we had gotten to. It had said like the president or something like that lives here on the gate. And we were in our van, in our like little kind of like tricked out ambulance mobile. And
awesome.
And then one of them ended up on top, on the roof. And I remember May saying that she decides to brake check it, that person. And then I just saw it happen in my head. I saw the brake check happen, and I saw the person just tumble down, and then and I don't know. For me, it's memorable moments like that, and there's many more that I can talk about, but that's one of the most memorable moments, even though it wasn't like necessarily a huge moment, but it's a moment when like one of the other players described something that on one hand I was able to imagine so vividly, but then also there's the player in me that's like, damn, that was a great choice. And it makes me, and you all have those things. There's every time we play, you guys do something where I'm like, damn, these guys are good. And that's just one that came to mind. So brake checking, I completely logged that as an option to remember to brake check people. So yeah, there's that.
Fantastic answer, and I can tell like how much it stayed with you because of your excitement when you were saying it. Yeah. And you, Markia, what is feelings? Just give me words. Sorry, I just want yes.
Yeah. It sticks with me how the outlandish things that we do to like get away with, like literally makes a bomb and puts it on an arrow, like a firebomb on an arrow, and it's just like, what? And then it's like, yes. I mean, and for instance, like, and we'll talk about it later, but it so sticks with me. Like, Bean comes out of the other end of, like, had basically field surgery, with their arm and everything, but when push came to shove, literally jumps into the driver's seat to, like, take out some armed motorcyclists. So it's like these amazing, like, things that you would see in The Walking Dead if they turned the volume up even a little bit more. Is the stuff that we're, like, habitually doing. Luis's character, Nathan, when we're about to get away in this, like, toll situation, but one of the guys had dropped, like, a very powerful gun that he'd been threatening us with, and Luis is like, but I could grab that gun though. And it's like, oh
gun.
man, it's like, but shouldn't we try to get away? But the thing of it is, and this is what I love about it. The thing of it is that, like, no matter how outlandish the thing is that one of us comes up with, everybody else just jumps on board. Like, you know what? Absolutely. We're going to run up this kaiju, or, like, we're all going to help you get that gun. And it's just, on the one hand, 2020 is very, very, very long. So therefore we've been playing this for a long time. And then on the other, I mean, I'll be completely honest, looking forward to this Tuesday night game where we get to do our outlandish, heartfelt things has been a bright spot for me for this year. So
that's fantastic. So, okay, so we had the GM, B. Dave Walters. Michelle was playing Bean Lee. Louise was playing Nathan Marquez, correct? Mm-hmm. Melee was playing Madison Martell, and Markia was playing Pharaoh Moore. And so if you don't know that much, this is zombie apocalypse with Outbreak. Sacrifice and sacrificing others for the greater good sometimes. You can corrupt your morality. It is a duty to your community of how you react and how you interact with the world around you. This game is real and low rolls that can save you, but high rolls can kill you. Everything is a gamble, and sometimes that gamble is what makes these characters feel alive. So the first episode, B. Dave dropped everyone into the action trying to sneak into their base, chased in by the Zeds, by the zombies, by the Z's, anything that you might know them as. And they made it safe, they thought. So they're inside of the big box store, Coopco, housing their community. Madison Martell, Melee's character, discovers the Z's have breached the roof and all must fight to survive, fighting fire with fire. Z's are dropping from the rafters. Community that are in danger include Hammer Time, which was a sweet dude with a hammer, Ophelia and Anthony, precocious young kid spies. There was a pretty colorful crew. And then Bean Lee had to put down an affected member. Right off the bat, so Michelle, what was that moment like? Having to put down a member that was affected of this community that you had?
I think the choice I made in character that would be okay. Because, like, if you really do, no one's really super cool with that. But the choice I had to make was that, one, Bean is this incredibly OCD, antisocial person who is very, like, fact driven. Mm-hmm. So, it was more of like the choice I had to make as a character was, of course I have to put down this person. They're going to kill us all. We've seen this before. And I had to be very, like, whatever about it. And that the thing is, it made it funny because I can't remember much about doing the thing, but I do remember everybody in the cast being like, oh my God, Michelle. So I think it's interesting to me that you can make a desolate world of the zombie apocalypse where there's no hope left be kind of funny sometimes. And I don't know, it takes the edge off. It's good to have that in there once in a while. Sometimes when you do the straightforward thing, it ends up being hilarious because it's like, oh, right. I guess you're not going to, dance around that fact. Okay, moving on. Just that next, you know.
Yep.
No.
Dude, I was horrified. But like, where you're laughing because you're so horrified.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just it was because like Michelle literally did a thing where she's like, I shush him first. You were like,
That's right.
shh. You see that moment. You see that, like in your head where you have like Bean like kind of crinkling because there's like snack bags all in the jacket. It's just like, shh, it'll be okay.
It was not okay for him.
No.
So,
No.
Markia, what did Pharaoh do before all of this went to hell?
Oh yeah, Pharaoh. Pharaoh Moore. I loved basing off of me or like an idealized version of myself, where literally all of the little odd jobs that I've done over my life would actually have meaning in the zombie apocalypse. In a way, kind of like how Glenn is in Walking Dead, where he was like a pizza delivery guy before everything went to hell, but he was like resourceful as hell and just like pragmatic and realist. So with Pharaoh, I was trying to do that with her, but the idealized version of it was like I made her an Instagram DJ, an Instagram live DJ, where it was just like I wanted because that's like something I could never do, like ever. I don't have any DJ skills, but I just love the idea of having this person that existed in the public eye as much as like Instagram Live was, but obviously had the real jobs to make everything work and fit together. So I remember times during the campaign when something actually would work against odds, like I would roll low enough that it would go through. Like for instance, there's this one time where Pharaoh gets behind the wheel and first was like catastrophically did it horribly, like driving the van. And then the next time nailed it. So, and I remember saying, yeah, I used to be an ice cream truck driver. I finally remember how to drive. So it's like things like that. I like to picture this very interesting backstory for her where it isn't necessarily, an internship into a 9 to 5 type of a deal.
Louise, I mentioned Ophelia and Anthony. Do you remember any interesting interactions with them?
I know what you're referring to. Yeah, so they're the kids, right? They're the kids, and they were
zombie apocalypse rules are different,
right?
What did like hey, and across the world everything's different,
right? I imagine them. I don't remember if we were actually ever told specifically how old they were, but I imagine them kind of young, like on the precipice of where you're about to no longer be. They're not little kids anymore, like 9ish, 10ish, maybe 11 or 12.
Yep.
Yeah, I offered them some booze, for sure. Because I don't know. I don't know why, actually. It seemed to be the thing that Nathan would do, and Nathan was a partier. You know what I mean? I think the way I described Nathan was like the way when there were warnings of the apocalypse looming, and Nathan was a non-believer. He was having parties. He was work construction a little bit and bartended and just kind of like did whatever he needed to do to make ends meet, to get to the next weekend, to get to the next Super Bowl, to get to the next family gathering kind of a thing. Sort of I think a point of view that I in a way kind of admire, because it's sort of carefree and just sort of living in the moment. And so probably just thought in the moment, hey kids, let's just have a good time here. I mean, I think Nathan probably had a drink when he was 12. He would sneak a sip of some beer, and so so what? The world is over. The world's ended. Kids, have a drink, and maybe I can kind of get you to, run some errands for me.
Yeah. I like that you said, I don't know. It seemed like the thing Nathan would do, because I feel like it created the exact difference of like character versus player right in that moment.
Well, I try to think of that every time, whenever I'm faced with a decision that the character would make versus what I feel like I would make, which I'm sure that's the whole point of this kind of entertainment and gaming. One of my favorite things to role play is the bad choice that I know the character would make. That maybe metagaming I know isn't going to serve me in terms of a benefit in the story, but it's what the dude would do, and he doesn't know what I know. So there could have been ramifications for Nathan in that moment if someone noticed it and was like, "What the hell are you doing giving these kids alcohol?" Then I would have to figure out a way to like roll poorly in roll 20 to try to get myself out of whatever that predicament is.
Oh, don't worry. We figured out how to roll poorly in roll 20. We figured
experts.
out. Yeah, we're so good at it.
So good at that.
We used
more
up
on
all
that
the
later.
rolls during Altered Carbon. That's what happened. It's
true.
And so there was one last thing from that episode. Marquis, you brought it up. Madison jerry-rigged a bomb onto an arrow.
Yeah. Melee's character Madison, who is like Katniss with a crossbow. Yeah. Like Daryl meets Katniss is like Madison, and she went through this thing where it's like she split the party early on, and it was just like, oh, something's gonna happen to one of us. Either something in the cafeteria or something where she's going, and it ended up like being flooded by zombies, like, breaking in through the roof. And I love that her instinct was, you know what? I'm going to build a bomb. I'm going to build a fire bomb and put it on an arrow, because then I'll have distance from the explosion. It didn't quite go to plan, but it did go boom.
That's enough sometimes.
So yeah, that was some good fire times, and we did figure out that the zombies had a self-preservation instinct at the same time when they ran away from the fire. So that was horrifying. So it's like that was a pretty cool moment.
That's awesome. So then, okay, then that was a lot for just a single first episode.
Yeah, B-Dave was not pulling any punches.
No, he likes to like make that train go full speed.
It's true.
So then we go on into the second one. And the second episode, the crew is presented with 5 possible quests to help the community. Get water from a nearby water plant was the closest. Get a boat near Malibu. Get a plane from Van Nuys Airport. Get survivors from Hollywood Bowl. All right, so it's probably because there was so much happening in episode 1 when we were talking about it that we overwhelmed the stream. So let me start over with what I was saying for episode 2. And so the crew is presented with 5 possible quests to help the community. Get water from a nearby water plant, which was the closest. Get a boat near Malibu. Get a plane from Van Nuys Airport. Get survivors from Hollywood Bowl. So they chose to go for the boat. And our survivors set out in Freedom Van, which was a tricked out ambulance, which fantastic. And that's going to be a thing for me to come about later. But on the highway, they end up in a battle against other survivors in an apocalypse-like toll road. There was like havoc being wreaked everywhere. And they continue on to a dead-end, huge walled area that says home of the President of the United States. There's so much to process. So I want to start off with Markia. I want to ask you first, was getting the boat the quest that you wanted, Pharaoh wanted to do?
Well, I think that was a group like decision kind of a deal. I know that when for Pharaoh, of them, like the ship was a possibility. she kind of wanted to go for the water plant just because that was closer. And with Pharaoh, she goes a lot. She scouts a lot with this party, and they had finally just gotten back, and then they were basically told by the leader of the community, despite the fact that they had like such a successful run, like they got ridiculous amounts of fuel, that they had to go back out again. So Pharaoh was thinking more like, okay, well, go somewhere close, go ahead and get water, bring it back, because like her family was on food detail, like her moms were working there and like feeding people. So being able to be close to that for a while would have been really important for her. The only reason why the ship ended up winning out over the water plant was because that's still a dead end situation. You get however much water you can get to bring back, and then eventually you're going to have to go back again. It'd be more dangerous, or you have to find another place. You know, you can't go for the plane. Who knows how to fly a plane? You know, I mean, it's hard enough watching people try to do it in movies. So, but while with a boat, you know, you could figure that out. That's just driving on water, right? That was the thought process. So that's why it was like, yeah, you know, we have to get everybody out of here. The Z's have already broken in through the roof. It's only a matter of time. So, you know, we gotta go.
So Michelle, when you all got to that toll road, which was an issue in itself, how was Bean feeling? Like, what was running through Bean's mind?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, rest of the cast, but I'm pretty sure when that happened, I was just very like, nope, don't talk to any of these people, like, F this, turn around, go home. I was very like, no, I'm not engaging with this adventure that's gonna happen. I think it's fun to play a character that is like, no adventure bad. Think that is safe is good, and you just push against it. But for a show, you can't do that too much because it derails everything. So it's fine. It's fine. We went along with it. It was bad, but then we escaped. Is the short version of that.
Fair. Okay. So I do know that like the boss was this looming dude who, like, Nathan. There was something that Nathan wanted. So the boss had a machine gun, right? But Nathan was especially interested in it.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, because in this world, of course, like ammunition and that kind of stuff is not easy to come by. So, and in my mind, I just thought, you know, well, we don't have anything like that. And they do, and that means there must be other people out there that have something like that. And I just, you know, it was right there, ready for the taking. But you know, there was still danger around, and our window to escape was pretty small. So we took off without it, unfortunately.
And that was partially thanks to Madison, yet again creative with the crossbow, but taking down the huge, like, looming boss.
Yeah, it was the big dude.
She seems to have a habit of like creative problem solving with weapons. So there was a third part of this second episode, and again, only the second episode, like learning off the bat, you found out that there were Z's that could fly, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I feel like we never solved the mystery of all that stuff, but
no.
It was just like just when we were getting just a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, just a little bit. Then like B-Dave was like, and now it infects condors and it's coming right for you.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And condors are big birds.
And I'll admit, like afterwards, I did Google that and I was like, why would this man do this to us?
Did that moment, like when you realized that it could infect condors and such, did you start considering what else might be infected? Like, was there anything that came to mind that's like, I really hope we don't come across this?
Yeah. I mean, everything, because I mean, it just, you think you have some preconceptions of what that world might be like, and then that moment, I feel like I was I was a little bit primed to expect the unexpected after we had the moment, that recognition that they had a self-preservation drive, which was strange. But then even then you're like, well, if they can fly, if they can infect birds, then there's no walls that can keep us safe, because they're coming after it. They're like super like roided out too, this bird was. and they're coming after you with the same like relentlessness that the rest of them do. It's just like, it's brutal.
Knowing that you're going for a boat and then seeing it infect a condor, did it, or do you think like any of your characters would have had the thought like, oh, since we're going to water in this area, I wonder if there are like alligators and other sea creatures that it's infected?
That's horrifying. I hate it.
Yeah, I can't remember if that came up or not, but
It definitely didn't come up for me. I think
that's a Beat Dave thought right
there. That's some like it's sharks from our shit. But I think we're very focused on the here and now, like getting out of the moment. So we probably didn't think that far ahead. Of course, it comes to bite us in the ass like the next episode after this, but it's fine.
Yeah.
That's what makes it interesting.
Zombie everything.
Yeah, and that's, again, like I said, but this is a lot for 2 episodes, because like, what was the span of the 2 episodes? Was it like a day and a half or 2 days, really?
Maybe.
Same day, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or no, it was a day and a half, because we slept after the first episode.
But it was all, I think, 24 hours. Like, we had returned in the evening, and then the next morning, like as the sun was coming up, we took off.
You're right. Yeah.
So
Long day.
was less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's wild,
man.
So, okay, in the next episode, having met the President of the United States, the leader of the Walden community, the crew seem to realize that he's the long-lost brother of Nathan, Jake. So you were exploring the community beyond the wall. Danger was there all over, and it turned out that Bean Lee is bitten.
Yep.
And gets her arm amputated. And then, not long after, the community has to fight for their lives against small but deadly zombie rats.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot. So I will say that I did a very rookie thing, and that is, as an RPG player, anytime you go to open a spooky door or a treasure chest, you have to check for traps, and I didn't, because I was feeling very like, oh, we're not in like a fantasy world, you know what I mean? I kind of felt like this is the real world where you can open doors safely. I don't know what happened here, but I basically was like, oh, a dark scary locker, I open it without checking, doing any checks at all, and something came out and bit me immediately, and I was just like, oh no. I'm a noob. But I got saved.
Swarms of rats, the concept is terrifying on its own, but like, these ones are infected, and if it takes one bite to infect you with so many of them, like, it's a danger of swarm, because it's not like it's not so much easy to just fight a bunch of small creatures. They're moving around, they're fast, and right up. So
yeah.
What was Bean's what is Bean's thought process when it happened?
Oh no, well, I think I got bit, and then I was what happened? I got bit, and then I was with like an NPC person who was trying to help me, and they could not, like, they didn't roll well, or I guess B-Day was rolling for them, so I just ended up passing out, and then I was basically dragged around, I believe, until y'all amputated my arm. Because I was like not active as my character. As Michelle, I was like, hey, can someone come get me out of this basement?
Man, it was nuts. May ended up coming up with the idea of that, like, well, along with us pooling our points, like, eventually is how this barely happened. but like Madison's character was like, okay, you do the tracheotomy, we're gonna take the arm. And it's like, all right, we're doing this. This is this is something, you know. I had a summer job where I was like punching straws into juice boxes. I got this.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So the community, like, I feel like a good comparison is Lord of the Flies, and with it being run by your brother Nathan's brother, and super sports oriented. What was that like for you and your character, Louise?
Well, you know, because I guess they're kind of, we're all suited up in like the football kind of stuff. You know, like I look forward to moments where I get to kind of how do I say this? Where I get to, as the character, kind of have something that might encounter something, a relationship that's like challenging for them. Because I like drama. And so, you know, I had leaned into Nathan and his brother Jake having a kind of love-hate relationship. The us getting split up was really foggy in the apocalypse, mostly because Nathan, I was trashed and drove drunk and crashed the car. And, you know, even in the game, it was, you know, the way that he remembered it was different from how I remembered it. So like, I love when the storyteller sets me up for a moment of drama where they, you know, introduce a character that I have some kind of a fraught relationship with. But I do remember what I do remember about how B. Dave described Jake was how different he looked from when I saw him last. What I saw in front of me was and this was consistent with a lot of the people that we saw in this community, that they were you know, they were thin, they were all thin, and it made me realize as Nathan a couple of things. One, they're all barely hanging on, but they're all equally barely hanging on, which means that whatever resources they have, they're sharing. And then when I saw my brother, who, when I remember him, was bigger, stronger, faster, better than me at everything. But then he too was a withered version. It was, you know, something that still needed to be processed for Nathan, because there's definitely the kind of where the hell have you been resentment, but then also you're my brother, I love you, it's so good to see you, but also wow, you look like the withered version of yourself. There's just so much happening all at once. And that, I love those moments. I love when the storyteller sets me up for those kinds of conflicting feelings.
Yeah. So Pharaoh has done all sorts of jobs. Did you expect Pharaoh would have a moment to essentially operate on Bean?
Nope. Yeah, that's a big old nope. Not saying that Pharaoh would necessarily be squeamish. Well, at least that's what her stats say with it. But that, I mean, for me personally, actually, one of my veils is amputation. Like that's as long as it's not, I can't do graphic. Like I can't. I just like kind of check out on it. And it wasn't graphic. It was very like with the story and this like something that had to happen type of a deal. And then it was kind of like a fade to black moment.
Yeah. Because,
well, later we ended up in a library that was infested with like zombie spiders. So, or was it rats? Was it rats or spiders? I feel like it was
spiders. I remember there being
I think spiders showed up at some point too.
Maybe yeah, it was zombie rats and I don't know. They were dancing together. Yeah. It was the Jellicle Ball for zombies.
How dare you make that reference?
I will bring that movie up so many times.
Oh god.
So I mean, didn't have too long to really let it sit that, oh my gosh, we did this thing to another person to save them, but we did this thing because we still had to fight for our lives and we still had to escape. Type of a thing. I think that if we had had a little bit more breathing time, which you don't have that in the zombie apocalypse, but I think Pharaoh probably would have had a breakdown over the radio trying to contact her moms at some point.
Yeah. So then before we go to the next episode, I have another question for each of you. And I'm going to start with you, Louise. You're 3 episodes in. So much has happened in what was less than a 48-hour span. And you had this character that you had started with. How different were they after the 3rd episode? After you'd met your brother, after you'd seen your companion lose their arm, after you'd been attacked by a condor Z, after you'd been stopped and had to get through a toll road.
Man, I think it just, I honestly don't know that Nathan had enough time to completely process any of that for any of that to even take hold.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I think it would be something like if we had a chance to interview him a week after that, you know what I mean? Then I think maybe the processing would set in. But one of the things that I think was really palpable, I guess, especially in that campaign, was that it was just go, 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 go. There was no time for the adrenaline to subside. It was just like you show up, got to do something, and then resolve all the mistakes that you made while you were trying to do that thing, and then more trouble, keep going. So the one thing that I did know, and this goes back to why I think Nathan was all about getting the boat or the plane with 2 choices. He just wanted to get the hell out. And then everything else that transpired from then on out was just continue to reinforce that. Got to chop off an arm. Let's get the hell out of here. Like, this community is not thriving. They're all hungry looking. Let's get the hell out of here. Trouble on the street. Get the hell out. It just was constant. There was just no time to process. The PTSD would come later, but it was definitely going to come.
Bean, you went through the ringer. What, like, did their response to this world change? Were they like, this is worse than I thought, this sucks, I hate it? Like, what were any changes that went through who this character was in the beginning to this point?
I feel like because I was playing a very emotionally stunted person, I think that I faced everything again in black and white, and very just like yes or no. So if something bad happened, I'm like, this is bad, run, or this is good. So I didn't really have a lot of gray area in how my character looked at situations. And like Louise mentioned, there wasn't really, realistically, like if this was really happening, there was not enough downtime to deal with anything. You were just jumping from one thing to the next. But yeah, my character was very like, okay, bad, okay, good. But I was very blunt about it. And I think I played that kind of character a lot because it's maybe it's like more simple to play. I don't know, but it makes for a little bit of humor, but also it's kind of a voice of reason thing. Like, hey, sledding down this big hill with a loaded weapon may be bad, huh? No, we're just doing it. Okay, and you go.
Yeah. Markia, was Pharaoh the same as like being in Nathan's experiences?
No. Pharaoh started off really cool, actually. Like she was like cool, hanging out with the kids, always had something fun to say, type of a deal. And then as things like continued on and on, she actually became more hesitant and more reactionary to things. Like she would, come for the occasion when it was needed. And then after that, just to be like, okay, kind of a deal, going along more with other people's plans than putting stuff out there as much. She had a really great hero moment when she like headshotted the condor, the zombie condor. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, let's just do this because we said that we were doing this because this is a thing that has to be done so other things can happen, kind of a deal.
So then we got to episode 4. LA around the highway is ablaze. There is military running around everywhere, and you're all sneaking through it to make it to a community, the Capoeira Coalition in Malibu. So you're continuing forward and you end up ambushed and almost lose everything. And so like the first thing that I have is Pharaoh and Madison wound up in a Z-Wolf ambush.
Yeah. So that happened. Um Madison, well, we I forget who heard it first, but when we were traveling along the highway we were trying to recover some other lost people that the community had lost because the Kopanga Coalition people, which were all a bunch of hippies, it's like this is where the 60s came to retire type of a deal, but like with guns. They had, and we still wanted to continue to Malibu for a boat, and they were like, yeah, everybody who goes past this point, they don't come back. We just don't hear from them. And we were like, we can go do it. Wow. That was a choice. But somebody heard that something was wrong when we were driving.
Yeah.
So we
I
like did a
remember those, but
right. Yeah. We did a pause, and Madison and Pharaoh then like climbed on top of the ambulance to then get on top of the cliff because we're like, hey, we'll scout ahead, kind of a thing. We'll see what's coming. And while we were up there, we were ambushed by zombie wolves, like 3 of them.
That's
yeah, we got our ass handed to us with it. Like barely got out of that alive. Like Madison was tore up, and we had split the party without even like really thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
did.
that was like the end game, and we
got jacked up that episode too.
Yeah. Who else almost died? I can't remember.
Me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Wasn't me? I feel like that already happened. That's right.
Yeah, you already had your moment of that, and then I don't even remember what happened to me. I think it was that we knew that there was a trap on the other side, and there were people on motorcycles, and there was a giant truck, and they were going to try to run us off the road. And I think there was some gunfire. I got hit. I just remember getting dragged back into our van.
Oh, I was driving. That's right.
That's right. You were driving. I got dragged back in, and then we were basically retreating.
Yeah. And that was kind of like the end. It was like,
that was the end.
That's it. That's all we have time for, kids.
We did get out. We escaped, and then we made it back to that other community, the community of hippies.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
We had headed back there to try to, I guess, get it together again.
So Bean got to do some like one-armed driving.
Yeah, I was one-armed.
And there was armed motorcyclists.
You know what? Yeah. I think we were using, was the skill driving or was it navigation? Because I was rolling so good. For whatever reason, I was like killing I was just like just critting everything, and so I was able to drive super well and pick up Markia and May's characters. They were like running on the side of the road like and it was very easy to get away for some reason because I was rolling so well. Even with B-Dave should have given me a penalty for one-arm driving, but I don't think he did. I think he was being very nice in that moment.
You earned it.
It was like Matrix style.
That's
awesome.
So Nathan, you said that you almost died. You took 2 bullets, right?
Yeah. That's what it was. I did get shot. I got shot.
Like, especially in this game, that can you almost because you went to 0 hit points. You almost died.
Yep. It wasn't confirmed. It sort of ended on a cliffhanger where it wasn't confirmed, but the idea that B-Dave, at least my interpretation of it, was that I was still breathing, but I think unconscious while we escaped.
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun. Yay, fake memories.
So then I have one more question, and I'm going to start with you, Louise, because I went to know that fresh thought. What would be the next thing Nathan would say?
I'm alive. Probably like, I can't believe I'm still alive.
Just the shock of it?
Just the shock of it. He'd probably groan. I think the next thing that comes out of his mouth is not actual, language, but more like groaning and pain. Yeah, because I just imagine if the next time he's able to speak, he probably can't do it really well because he is on some kind of, if they had any kind of medication at that community, he'd be doped up for sure.
What about Bean? What would be the next thing Bean would say in this moment of like, you're getting away, nobody died somehow?
Oh, I would just be like, this, we're not going to getting this boat. We need to go back home. This sucks. Like, this sucks. It's all bad. No, nah, not today. Maybe tomorrow.
And what about Pharaoh?
I know what I would say, but Pharaoh, more than likely, she'd want to get a hold of a radio, and she'd want to call back home as soon as she would be able to.
Yeah.
Either on the ambulance's radio, but I think there was something wonky with that. But definitely back in the community, that would have been like her number one thing. It's like, I need a radio.
Yeah. That's so fair. And that was a 4-episode story with so much heavy layered experience in it. Like what a hell of a 48 hours.
It was our longest like mini series, I think, before we hit the current, before we hit Rag and Bone. I think the rest of them are 2 or 3 episodes max. But so that was a really good start for us. I think we all got we also get really comfortable in our characters, and then someone was like, next. Which is great. I was really as a I don't know, as the actor, but as an RPG player, it's so fun to be like, to keep changing facades every couple of weeks. I think that's a really I haven't never done that before. I'm used to being in campaigns for a long time, or at least a season. So having like 4 episodes, 3 episodes, you find yourself making choices that are like, whatever, I only gotta be alive for 3 more episodes, so just do everything, Yeah. And that's a really fun way to play, is to just play like you're not afraid of dying, because it doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
I'm kind of like the opposite of Michelle with that. Like I would play for channels like part of their season, but each of them would be like one shots. So it's like you make like this whole new backstory and fun stuff with Saving Throw, like Tempting Fate, for instance. I did that for like a few years. And that's where I think I really got my wacky yayas out, because like that's when I was like a cartoon cat that would snuggle in everybody's, lap, as I would literally be doing seducing stats as a cat to get my way. So it's like going from that to going to have like this full fleshed out character where family is important, where they're affected by the decisions of others and themselves. It was like, that was what I wanted at that point, because I really wanted to do more campaign like things and less one-offs. So yeah,
it got longer for you. This was longer than before for you, which is nice.
Exactly.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, so then the next one that I'd like to talk about is, it was really interesting for a lot of reasons, especially when we got to see storytelling from one character with 2 people that I was fortunate enough to be part of. So let's talk about Altered Carbon Osaka Eternal.
Yeah.
So for those of you that might not know, it was set in a cyberpunk future where bodies, also known as sleeves, are interchangeable depending on your connections. Citizens from all walks of life come together over the mystery of a hunted AI. So we're going to look at a clip together, and in this clip, the crew finds themselves inserted into kaijus, gigantic, monstrous creatures, and placed in a battle arena. And we'll see a bit of how our characters Patch and Satya handle themselves. Let's take a look. Charge in and try to, if this was its face, try to bite on top of its face to keep it from opening its venomous fangs.
Okay, great. So in your character sheet, I'm going to have you roll. It's going to be the melee combat score, but because you're using a kaiju sleeve, The
Yes.
target number is going to be 8 for this, and I'm going to
Awesome.
give you a bonus die of a D8, and then a luck of D4.
Perfect. All right, so that's a roll of 4, a luck of 2, and a bonus of 3.
So we'll go with 3, which nets you 5 degrees of success, which totally happens. So you get this hit off. Go ahead and tell me how it looks. What is the damage that's done?
So as it's like slithering forward, it's like rearing up, and if the thing looks up, how like some snakes and reptilians like dislocate their jaw
Right.
forward and then clamping down on it, partially to keep the mouth closed, but then also because it's the head, so it'll be a little tender around there as well, and then just like almost like whipping it around back and forth like some animals do when they're trying to pull.
Yeah, and I will tell you, for that many degrees of success, your jaws clench down on this thing, and you swear you felt like the mechanism that was connecting the stack to it, and it sort of shorts out, and the whole body just goes limp in your jaw. Coming up next, we've got Satya.
Okay, well, it seems like that one was taken care of.
Yeah.
So what else do I see now that that one's out of the way?
Behind that, this whole mess that's happening, you can make out what seems to be a great white shark body that has the legs, tail, and claws of a scorpion that's sort of coming forward, but it has those glossy shark eyes. And you can see that its lower jaw has sort of unhinged, and there are 3 aspects to it, and it's all sort of gnawing at once. And it's coming straight at you, Satya.
Okay. All right then. For this, we'll see, and it's coming straight. It's coming straight for us.
Mm-hmm.
Satya is going to stand her ground. And is going to put out the pincers for the pistol shark. I'm sorry, pistol shrimp.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to do that huge decimal hit while the shark has his mouth open, because it shouldn't have done that, but
Right.
it did.
What an experience. Okay, so that we had the characters in that episode, and we had Michelle playing Benton. I myself was playing Patch, Melee was playing Sable, and Markia was playing Satya. And I think so. And Louise, I'm also curious about your opinion. Whose kaiju was the most intimidating or like wild, or what was the one that made you go like, what the hell is that?
I mean, shrimp fingers, right?
Who had shrimp fingers? I can't remember.
I was a pistol shrimp.
Oh, that's what, pistol shrimp.
And I had like, yeah. And it's like the most dangerous animal, albeit small.
I remember how much Googling I had to do about animals after that episode. I was like, what are you guys talking about?
Same here, actually. I was like, what? Wait a second, what?
Yeah,
so that's just all. I mean, I may even be misremembering it, but I just imagined the shrimp fingers.
Gosh,
You're basically right. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
That's the name of my kaiju now.
Shrimp fingers.
Shrimp fingers.
God, that's a horrifying image.
Well, we
like
didn't
seeing
name our
something like
kaiju.
crawl up.
Like Beetlejuice. That part.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Wow. Yeah, so that's the one. That's the winner for me.
That's a good answer. Markia?
Well, besides my own, obviously, because we're going to be very, very happy about our own kaijus. I liked with Michelle's where she had like the octopus element with it. I believe that you had that with yours, like a octopus element. Oh, it was.
Can't remember.
The Immortal Jellyfish.
Yeah,
That
the
was
jellyfish.
it. I was like, why did I
yeah.
not think of like that is so cool? And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean,
Well, I was lucky because I had to make my character after all of you, I think. I was like towards the end. So I had time to like, I was Googling like most dangerous sea creature or weirdest sea top
So
10 sea
smart.
creatures. And I was literally looking at like some BuzzFeed like list. So that's where I got all my imagination from, was the internet.
It's a
man,
resource.
it was like that was perfect. It's like how do you kill and keep things away from you and like divide and all that other stuff. I was like, heck yes.
The ocean, man. The ocean rocks. Like that's where the weirdest stuff is.
Oh. And what about you, Michelle?
Don't ask me. Everyone's was so cool. I think I can speak more to like the creation was that clearly everyone was like in their
That's
brain
so
going,
fair.
what animals do I want? Okay, bird, tiger. Like we were just throwing words out, and I love that Xander was so good about being like, yes, and this is why, and this is why it does this. This is what it looks like, and he's so good at encouraging. He doesn't take an absurd thing you say and be like, no, you can't do that, or oh, I'm not sure how that would work. He just goes, okay, sure, boop, 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 boop. And I think that's why we're able to make ridiculous kaiju, and we're able to. We talked about a little bit about this off stream, but the mechanics of it weren't really fleshed out at this point for the expansion for Osaka Eternal yet. So he had to wing a couple of things to make it work in the gameplay, and I was really impressed with that. So I was impressed with all of us, with our dumb imaginations, and with Xander for just rolling with it.
Yeah. Everyone's kaiju was very different for the most part. And that was what was so interesting, because it was like, where are our brains going? Like at some point we were like, you know what, I do want this thing. I want this thing. And it's really interesting. I think it's a creative process that we don't get to see a lot, because we often like, all right, how am I going to build this thing? But we were thinking, how am I combining these things for creatures that exist? And seeing them come to a kaiju honestly makes some like creatures that exist more terrifying to me, because like thinking of a bullet shrimp but human sized.
Pistol shrimp.
Yes, pistol shrimp. Thank you.
Gun. Let's call it gun shrimp. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's a gun.
shrimp.
It's a gun and a
Or,
shrimp.
you know, call me what my family calls me, shrimp fingers. So.
Yes. Like if that was human sized, realizing the danger that thing would cause the people in the water blows my mind.
I never watched Jamie Foxx's Netflix movie then.
Is that a thing?
What are we talking about?
Yeah, that was okay. That was like the inspiration for a number of my kaiju elements. Jamie Foxx's movie on Netflix.
And it's called.
I think it was called Power.
I see. Okay,
Adam might be able to help me with
the new one, right? It just came out kind of
new
recently.
one.
Oh,
Came out,
yes.
you know,
I did see
yeah.
Project
years ago
Power.
in early 2020.
Project
Yeah,
Power.
yeah.
It had
Yoshi
Joseph
Sarris is
Gordon.
in that. Oh yeah, and also a JGL.
Yep.
JGL.
But it's like I
Wow.
found it enjoyable. I think the young actress that's in that, she like yells it
Oh yeah.
like so much. So that made an impression with me. And then turn around and my Tuesday night show was like, hey, how about you make a kaiju? Pick some animals.
Awesome.
Okay. Jeez.
So we were in episode 1. This is the episode where actually we have Louise, who is playing Patch, and then due to some circumstances, we actually switched it around. So in episode 1, we're introduced to the cybernetic future our characters live in. Each of our characters make their way to the same location looking for Patch, Louise, lost AI, Yukio, for different reasons. Captured and held within a VR interrogation room, the group learns of each other. They know each other. Patch and Satya, Louise, and Markia's character work in unison to break the code of the room to open an outside source. Patch elegantly works his way around the code. Satya blows up a beloved donut shop as a distraction. Sable is able to utilize the power of glitch and get a reboot button built into the construct. But then also, Patch died. And
Oops.
like right off the bat, when a character dies, Louise, I know it's a little question, but how did it feel when Patch died?
It was actually kind of exhilarating.
Really?
Yeah. Just because I don't know, that's like super high drama. So it was, you know, like if it was warranted, and so you know, it. I don't know. I mean, it's always shocking. I feel like I'm more shocked when someone else's character dies, which we'll have plenty of time to talk about, for sure. But like, I I kind of see the movie play out in my head, and I see that as a possibility, and I see how it makes sense for the trajectory of how the character's moving. And you know, like Patch to me um was a fun character to create because I kind of, for me, the patch that I had, which was kind of cool to talk about, like the re-sleeving, because aspects of your identity kind of can shift. Um, and he was just really obsessed with the AI and kind of was totally in love with Yukio. He wouldn't admit it, and maybe wasn't completely aware of it, but that was the person that he spent the most time with, and almost developed a kind of not obsession, not necessarily, but like a really like strong connection to. And then that was also kind of like his flaw, because it's became the blind spot that led to his demise. Didn't see what was coming for him because he had a one-track mind to try to get something that had to do with the AI. And so
That's wild. So Satya had spent time with Patch, had gotten to know Patch.
He was her best friend for like a total hour.
Yes.
Well, and so I feel like that might make it either less important or even harder, because you had an amazing hour with this person and then they were gone.
Yeah. Well, Satya was like my inner chaos demon made into a human form. So it's like the way that I would love to be, but I just can't live my life like that. I can't cause that much anxiety for other people because of my actions. While Satya is like, in the first episode, she's attacking a taxi because it's not going the way that she wants it to go, and like flipping off the security camera, and just like, you know, fists raised head first into things. And it's just like it felt so good being her for this. But God, no, I couldn't in real life. But so with her connection with Patch, what I feel like it was is that and she actually had a connection with each of the characters. It's just the Patch one got more pronounced because of his death. And that's what like kicked that into more of we're best friends kind of a deal. And now I don't know who you are, re-sleeved Patch, like that kind of a thing. But I think with Satya, the way that she is, the way that I saw her was she would attach just as quickly as she would repel. So if she ran across someone who wasn't immediately repelled, and she wasn't immediately repelled by them, then it was like, oh my God, we're friends. You know, like we're gonna spend that time. You know, we're gonna burn buildings together. That's what friends do. You know, that kind of a thing. So and then add on top of that, Patch willingly gave one of his gadgets to her to help her. I forget exactly what it was that they were doing, but to aid her with that. So that like sealed the deal right there. It was like, all right, this is my best friend because he thinks he's my best friend. So this is how we live now, you know?
Yeah.
and I mean, I also think that, you know, in this kind of world, it could, where human interaction perhaps doesn't happen like in person, it could kind of speed up the kind of relationship building stuff too. You know what I mean? I don't know. In my mind, it completely makes sense for that to unfold the way that it did.
So in the world of Altered Carbon, the bodies that people have are sleeves, but the thing where they're like living essence is stacks with a device that goes like in the back of their neck. And Michelle, your character Benton was a like popular sleeve builder, and you own the company Revamp, right?
Yeah. So I wanted to make the polar opposite of the character I made for the last campaign. So I made someone who was overconfident, snobby. I talked like this, and it was a little annoying. And I'm very good at that Valley Girl voice. I practice it a lot. And I wanted to be like fashion, fashion, fashion. So my character was part of, I think at the beginning you pick your, what part of society you'd be in. So I believe I was, I can't quite remember, but basically it was like, I have money and I have fame and clout in this world. And because I made those decisions, I was like, oh, I should own a sleeve company, and that would kind of integrate me into the story. And I talked with Xander about my character a little bit before the game started, so that we had kind of, a good handle on why was I doing this, what kind of clientele did I have, how will I be connected with these characters, which is all, great stuff to have for a session 0 in general for all RPGs. And I was just very cool looking. I did not want to be attached to people who I thought were not cool, or like there were the seppuku tigers kept coming up, and they kept being like, yeah, like, because I would help them get sleeves, but they were like, yeah, could become part of our gang. I'm like, ew, gross, no, ooh, yuck, why would I, ew, you guys are all gross and I hate you, like, so that was just kind of a gag that went through the 3 episodes, but I wasn't very useful though.
Benton also had a helper, right, named Beasley.
Oh, Beasley, that's what it was. I thought it was Jenkins, but something. It's so funny because I had a conversation with Xander that I was going to have a helper and he was going to be basically Danny DeVito. And we had like this whole thing for him. And then we brought him into the actual scene. I was like, wait, I couldn't remember what we had talked about. I was like, why do you talk like Danny DeVito? I'm like, we had this conversation already. That's why. Beasley was great. I was very mean to him. I was very like, Beasley, here, no, come here. And it's a thing that I would never do in real life. So it's just fun to kind of do it in RPG.
Yep. So then we had the moment where Patch died in battle. But in episode 2, was Patch really dead? Patch ended up being re-sleeved, which is the form of someone taking a stack and putting it in a new sleeve, and then rejoined the crew as they were heading to a mission at the aquarium for the seppuku tigers. And then we also got into kaiju creation. And this was actually the episode where Louise and I swapped places and I became Patch. And for me, it was really interesting because before then, I knew what the character was like generally, but I actually didn't want to watch the episode that Louise had done as Patch originally because I didn't want that to become the Patch that I had. And Louise, you got a chance to see what my Patch was like in comparison to yours. And what is that moment like? Because you said there were even some things that were similar, but we'd never even had that conversation.
Oh, yeah, that. There was a couple of things that we had gotten to share with each other that were similar. I don't know. I mean, I kind of I was able to like buy into the a completely different version of someone, and that makes complete sense. It's like a reboot, you know what I mean? Even in the same sleeve, I feel like, I feel like that would potentially be a pretty cool thing to be able to kind of just have a reboot and kind of sort some stuff out. What's that, like a hard reset? And that's just kind of, it was easy to just roll with it in that regard. And it makes complete sense in the world. It was really cool. I thought it was super fascinating, and I really I kind of wanted to be, I mean, I know it was a TV show, but I want it to have this kind of central thing be explored a lot. Because it's very, very fascinating to me.
I love the idea that when you have a redo, it doesn't mean you're going to subconsciously make the same choices. Because like with a game metaphor, sometimes it's sort of just a roll of the die. Do I go left or do I go right? And that choice could literally change the entirety of what your life is. And it could have been that your Patch just went left, and I just went right. And that was the only difference that made this chain of events happen.
super dig that so much. So yeah, I love it.
So
If I may,
Go ahead.
the Hunter's Gathering horn here, that there is a complete episode where we have Gabe Hicks and Luis Carrazzo with a patch versus patch type of a deal that we do. I can't remember the name of the title right this second. JB, if you can help me out with that, or chat room, if you can help me out with what the actual name of that episode is.
Yeah, put it in chat.
Yeah, please put it in chat, and I'll say it for the video. But I should know it. I literally created the title and the content. But you know what? That was like 3 years ago at this point.
Feels like it was.
Yep.
Yeah, but
my
we
God.
had such an amazing conversation with the both of you. And then I also GM'd I guess a supplemental adventure to a supplemental adventure with the chat room setting goals that they wanted us to get towards. I don't want to spoil this episode because it was just so it was like so heartful. It was like heart rendering, and it was so full.
I loved it. It was
the re-sleeved
Sleeved
character
character
battle.
battle.
Thank you, JB. Yeah, so you can look that up. That's VOD everywhere now on Hunters Entertainment channel and also YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I cannot recommend enough. It's if I have like a top 3 for Hunters Gathering, it's within that 3, hands down. Like no problem. Like I literally am saying that because I can't think of the other 2 that would have topped that.
I mean, I loved it. And I mean, what was, you know, I stop me if I'm spoiling anything, but it was the 2 different patches in a way that's completely justified in the scenario that was presented, meeting essentially, and then what unfolds as a result of that. And it's just there's something so philosophical about altered carbon and I to me, and like, what, you know, identity and the self and what is the self, and, you know, blah 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 blah. But it was a true gift to be able to jam with that.
And that was the first time you and I even met.
Oh yeah, it was. Yep.
It's amazing. That's awesome. So, okay, Michelle. Benton was pretty successful already, had this life, but we never got into it. How would Benton feel about re-sleeving? Because Benton deals with sleeves all the time for other people, but is it something Benton ever wanted to do?
I actually think that I'm not sure if I even said this during the show, but I have like a ton of sleeves. I just have like closets of sleeves for myself. So I'm in the business of re-sleeving, so I don't particularly have this idea or ideal about a soul should be attached to a particular body. I'm just like, nah, you just do what you do and roll the dice after that, as you said. So no, I don't think I have a philosophical attachment to body and mind's original sleeves or any of that kind of stuff. In that way, I think I was the most pragmatic, I guess, of the characters about the whole, like, I think I was the first person who said, whenever we kind of figured out that patch, version 1 of patch, like, had a thing for this AI, I was like, great, you do you. We celebrate all love. It's not a big deal. Like, fall in love with a toaster. I don't give a shit, you know? So, and I think in that way, you know, I'm here, I'm now. I've never known anything else.
And that makes total sense to me, because if Benton has dealt with sleeves consistently for so long, it's not like it's a big deal. It's like, okay, yep, this, you know what, this person just needs a new car. Like,
yeah, I think it's important when you're, you know, like making a drama like Altered Carbon, there has to be people who are like, hey, this is a problem, this is why. But I think there's going to definitely be people who are like, what are you talking about? This is all I've ever known. Why would I question it? You know, like most people don't question like having a smartphone. It isn't bad to have one, but there are some people who are like, I remember a time before that and it was better. So.
And so when we were in this episode, we ended up encountering what was like a ghost virus, which was taking over Sable, who was played by Melee. But we ended up being able to get Satya, like getting the virus out of Sable. and putting it into her own machinery, which was shorting out the equipment. And Markia, do you feel like Satya is someone that wanted to help people because she wanted to help, because they wanted to help people, or Satya wanted to solve a problem that would have made more issues for them down the line?
I wish that I could say that Satya was that forward thinking with things. Literally why she made that decision was because before going to the aquarium, she visited her best friend, and her best friend was infected with the ghost virus.
Yeah.
And was just dead to the world. It's like she wasn't even there anymore. Yeah. And like this was a for real best friend that had, stood the test of time, and there was really nothing to be done. So then Satya being confronted with that again, with a teammate, and at that point, Satya had realized that her and Sable had met before. It was like a bar fight that had happened where, of course, Satya started it. But did she really? The person was looking at her wrong. In any case, apparently Sable had jumped a person that was about to like cold cock her from like the back. Yeah. And Satya was like, oh, that kind of a deal. So to see Sable then be laid out with the same virus that had just taken out her best friend, it was more of a no, not today, ghost virus. It's like, this is not happening. And unfortunately, which is very true with a lot of Satya's actions, there were repercussions and consequences, and she ended up getting infected with it. Well, at least her machinery did. So then there was like a countdown effect for her until that virus could get deactivated.
Okay. And so when I came in as Patch, and Patch looked entirely different, Patch's mannerisms were different, I feel like with what you just said, Markia, and what you said, Michelle, it pretty much nails why their reactions were different. Benton is just like, oh, well, you know what? Patch is back. His car's a little different. Maybe they messed up the circuitry or whatever, but okay, he's here. Cool, whatever. Like, do you think Benton's experience with this is a big reason as to why it's like, he's acting weird, whatever, I don't care?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you're playing a character in the far future that you don't know what the reality is really like, you just have to assume that, again, someone has to be okay with it, and then probably somebody else in the party is going to be like, oh, this is weird, I don't like this. And that's totally fine. It's good to have different perspectives in gameplay.
Yeah. And then Markia, I remember Satya being so mean to him, so mean to Patch when he came back. And it was, I think it was a great role play, because like, you and I obviously knew that this is just the characters, but Patch is like, I don't really know who this person is. Why are they being so mean to me? I'm trying to help them. Why are they hiding a visor from me? Why are they always just showing one side?
I mean, because, well, one of the downsides with being Satya's best friend, like right away, is that when that repelling aspect happens, where it's just like, why are you acting like you don't know me? Like, we're not doing our same time age inside jokes, which they don't have any. But it's like it's that. So then with her, it's an automatic, well, what are they doing? This is suspicious. I don't trust them. And I'm going to find the reasons I don't. But then also, she's also kind of like looking for her best friend again. So she's going to stick close to that person to be like, I know you're in there somewhere, and I'll bring it out somehow, and this is how I will, like that kind of a thing.
It was fun for me, because this was an experience where, since when Patch was re-sleeved, there was issues with his memory, and it's the difference of someone having 20 and 30 years of life experience and someone having like maybe a week, and they know all of these things, but they don't have memories as to why they know these things. It's like someone having no memory, but knowing how to spin a bottle and pour a drink in one quick flip. And you know how to do it. It's muscle memory, but you don't have the emotional connection to it. And without that emotional connection, I think it made a lot of Patch's choices. I'm not here for me. I'm here for these people who know who I was.
Ooh.
And I think that led to a lot of what episode 3 came to be. And so when we got to episode 3, we had that gigantic kaiju battle after we talked about it earlier, with the different kaiju that we were creating. And we ended up meeting the AI Yukio. Now, before this, we actually had Sable Melee encounter a character named Foxx. And Foxx had actually led us up to this point. Foxx was an AI who had got us to this place, who had talked to us about Yukio. He was an entity that had led us to this point. And we had eventually reached Yukio, but before that, Foxx had us inside of a vehicle, and everyone had gotten out except for Patch. And Patch had a conversation with Foxx. And in that conversation, Patch had learned that Foxx was in a way also him. The face was the same. The entity was the same and different. And I didn't really talk about it as much directly, but that was because I had talked about not having the memories. That was a moment for me where Patch had decided, I'm a reflection of this person. This person is real, and I'm just a sleeve, barely even a stack. But it wasn't like even it was in a bad way. I think it was a great moment because it like this character just wanted to see an end come for this world. I had this drive for Yukio, but again, I don't know why I had this drive. I had no concept of this compassion, these experiences with Yukio. It's like watching a movie of your life, but you've never seen a mirror, so you don't feel like that's you. And there was a lot to talk about in this episode. Benton had figured it all out. Benton saw Fox's betrayal, and like Benton seemed to be like the most reasonable person in this chaotic world, and was definitely the most grounded, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I was sort of like your future cyber mom that you like. I just like kids. Yeah. I did have I think before Foxx reveals like all the stuff with Patch when they get out of the car. Before that happens, I'm the first person I'm like, all right, Foxx, sidebar. If you fuck around with my friends, I'm gonna find you and kill you permanently. I don't care if you're an I just had kind of sort of a mom moment. But yeah, I think that makes sense though, and I'm dealing with the least amount of drama in my life in general, so I can see very clearly like that's a problem. That's gonna be bad also.
And so that was also so Patch was a nickname essentially. And his real name was Anthony Sato. And it was after that moment with Foxx that I had made the character choice to decide his name is Sato. Call me Sato. You can know me as Sato. Because like Patch essentially died episode 1. And this was a reflection in a mirror that basically walked out of the mirror. Satya also decided to name the group multiple times. They were Satya's destroyers at one point. There was a couple others.
Yeah.
Do you remember any?
Oh, I don't remember any right now, but it was always like power words as like these things that could be like a heavy metal band type of a deal with it. I remember that Benton like totally called her out on it. and she was like, yeah, I know you want to call us like Satya something, but we're not going to do that. And I was like, well, you know what? But Satya's kaijus. It's like right there. We should just run with it. So it's like that was really fun. I like that Benton was just like super good at just calling people out with things, whether it was our big bad or whether it was like each other or just like the situation itself. Be like, I'm
Yeah.
glad that Benton didn't get just like tired of the rest of us.
I think it's funny that, I mean, if you do, since we just talked about the Outbreak one, if you see the carry through between Bean and Benton, is that I'm like, hey, you see that scary basement? Maybe let's just not go in there. We don't have to go in there. Let's not do the thing. We could just go home is also an option. I think I did carry that over into Benton.
So, and this is going to come towards you, Louise. So we saw a point where Foxx had betrayed everyone, and Yukio was not who we thought she was. And Foxx ended up taking over Sable's body. Now we were able to pull Foxx out of Sable, and Sato had put Foxx inside of himself. And in a hard choice, he knew that Foxx was going to keep causing trouble. He knew that Patch had died already. Foxx needed to stop existing. And that Sato was a reflection. It led to asking Sable to destroy his stack, destroying Foxx along with it. Do you feel like there's anything Patch would have done differently?
Ooh, what a question.
Yeah.
I think the critical moment for Patch would have been the reveal of what Yukio was and wasn't. Because I think that, you know, and that's kind of like a running theme, like what's real here? Am I real? Is this real? What's real? And the most real thing, if not the only real thing that Patch had, was what he believed he had between he and Yukio.
Yeah.
And if that was a lie,
Yeah, because that would be heartbreaking.
oh yeah, then that would have shattered him for sure. And I think what's crazy is I don't know if the Patch that I understood would have had been able to gather himself up enough to have much agency anymore after that realization. It would have, I think it would have really crushed him completely. But yours was once removed from that attachment, and because of that, I think that provided your a Patch a completely different perspective, and therefore a completely different reaction to that same realization. I mean, it's great. Yeah, it's wild, crazy.
So as a question we were asked, looking back, if your character was looking back at what had happened, do you think there's anything that they would have wanted to do differently? Like a moment where they were like, I wish I had done this, so maybe this thing didn't happen.
I think there's always that in everything.
Yep.
I think we each had more access to things that could have helped us if we had known what was going on. I think me as like the rich person in the group, I could have easily been like, hey, are we fighting people? Here's some really powerful sleeves. Just use these. Why are we effing around? And these crappy bodies are going to die immediately. So there's that. Like, we have the technology. We're not using it.
Yeah.
Since Satya found out that it would end up okay, you know, in the end, where she literally turned in Sato's body for the bounty. And also ended up higher up in the seppuku tigers. I think she would have blown up more buildings, for one.
Fair.
She would have gone a little wilder during her fighting type of a deal. And she probably would have been a little nicer to Sato at the same time, since they figured out how everything was at the end.
What about you, Louise?
Oh, geez. I mean, I think the big realization is that, you know, the whole stuff with Yukio. I mean, I purposely made that relationship be the driving force and the all-encompassing thing in my mind for Patch. And so I think, to maybe not have the sort of narrow focus and to like take a step back and look at the bigger picture of what's around him actually within the vicinity and not this one fantasy, really. I mean, I think that's really what ended up happening with the patch that I had, is that he just completely succumbed to his own fantasy. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, don't rush. Don't get yourself killed.
Yeah.
Maybe like take a step back and see the bigger picture in that moment and don't die.
Fair.
I guess one last thing. Satya would have, you know, in hindsight, would have found a moment to see just how interested Sable was.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
That might have been a thing.
What a story, Lord. That was it was an experience I wouldn't have traded for anything else, because it was always deep. There was a lot of investment in what this world is, and the stakes felt high to start, and they just kept going up more and more and more. And then at the end, it felt like a realistic resolution where it was only a victory because you stopped things from getting worse. But then everyone had to go back to their life, although they were a little bit closer. All right, so let's talk about something that is a little bit lighter than our fantastic story. But even if it's lighter, it still gets a little bit dark, because we're going to be talking about Halloween. So Kids on Bikes, Autumn Writes. I love the rhyme of that personally. And this one was a two-parter. So on Halloween night, a group of young trick-or-treaters go searching for a lost classmate and end up encountering an ancient evil and their own darkest fears. You know, a normal experience. Well, actually, considering a lot of Halloween movies, that is pretty normal. So let's look at a clip where the kids are introduced to the child spirit Sam, whose presence is made known in the most unsettling of ways.
Let's hold hands then.
Okay, perfect. Are you all standing now, or are we still kind of huddled in the middle of the room?
We're standing.
I'm up.
Okay. And Tortilla, you're still the bravest one of the group, so I assume you'll probably be leading them.
I'm still going. I'm trying to find Sam. I think he's in that corner, so I'm gonna kind of slowly. You know how like little kids, they freak out when you kind of creep slow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just kind of keep doing that because this is kind of fun. It's all right. It's just hide and seek.
Right. Okay. You start to do that. Can everyone roll brains for me, please?
Oh, damn! I shouldn't even roll.
It's gonna be a DC of 10.
Yeah. See.
So everyone but Tortilla got that. So Tortilla, you feel so Marcy's on one of your arms, but on your other arm, it feels as though someone else had taken your hand. And it's a small little hand that's held in yours. But you are in full belief that either Cricket or Journey had taken your other hand to be as a group as you go towards this corner. But the other three, you're able to hear a new set of footsteps in your group. And Cricket and Journey, especially you guys, can look down and see that there's a small figure holding on to Tortilla's hand now, walking forward with him.
Oh my Hera. Oh.
I'm gonna
Okay.
get you. Still going. Because I don't know.
Uh, should
There's
who's
some-
gonna tell him? Who's gonna tell him?
there's some
Tortilla, don't freak out. Cricket, go ahead.
Somebody already got you, and I think it's Sam.
What? Where? He's Sam. Come. I'm still creeping forward. We're all coming to get you.
I think
Sam's
he already
walking
got
forward at your
you.
face.
He's holding onto your hand. He's holding onto your hand.
I look
That's
down.
not us.
Uh-oh. I'll look
Uh,
at my hand, and what do I see?
You see a little figure about 3 feet high. It's the size of a child. It's dressed in an orange, like hand-sewn onesie. On its head, it has basically what looks like a brown sack. And you can tell with like the dimness of the room, you can see like buttons make up the eyes of the sack, and there's a seam that looks like a little smile.
Okay, so we had for that one, we had our GM, Megan Midget. We had Michelle playing Cricket, Louise playing Tortilla,
Yes.
Melee playing Marcy, and Markia playing Journey. So it was in this session, we had themes of like coming of age, we had Halloween, urban legends, and we got to look at deepest fears. So and it was a two-parter episode. In episode 1, the trick-or-treaters were facing down against a group of bullies, and a twisty, turny, multi-dimensional labyrinth maze where like they ran into another band of like lost Halloweeners who were wearing Ghostbuster outfits. And then they find out that group had been lost since the 80s. Finally, they made it to the main house, and they ended up like enchanted to pick up objects of power. So right off the bat, like what is your character's reaction when you're like, wow, these people have been lost since the 80s? Louise.
Oh man. I don't know. I think I don't know if like complete panic ever really set in.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like it should have. I was almost like, oh, okay, cool. This is what's happening. Oh, because see, the thing is, so Tortilla was playing the Ouija board and had been and believed he was haunted. So already knew that the supernatural, it already believed that the supernatural was real and all that stuff. So I don't think it was a complete shock that something like this was going to happen, especially on a Halloween night. So it was still, there was still the like the fear of, oh, this can't be us, we need to find our way out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was probably not, he certainly wasn't as terrified of it as I think I would be. But you know, I don't play Ouija board.
So Michelle, how did Cricket and like Tortilla get along?
Oh, that was very sweet. We had no plans. We just got thrown together at the beginning of the episode, and then I think Luis just made a good decision to be like, oh wait, no, we had talked about you were friends with my older brother, and that's why you knew who I was, and then you made the decision to be like, I need you, kid, to do these things. And I was a very, very good boy, and I just like, okay, whatever.
Great sidekick.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a really it's really fun to be a little kid. It's easy. There's like really like low stress because you're not trying to be cool or make the most interesting decision. You're trying to be like, I'm gonna make the most simple decision because that's what a child would do. The most straightforward thing.
Yeah. And Markia, how was Journey feeling when they were lost in that maze?
Oh, Journey was feeling a lot. Journey was feeling everything, every emotion in different colors. And she was definitely writing all of that down in her poetry/journal that she carried with her. Such an introspective goth. All of this was just fodder for the poetry machine for later.
Yeah, that's fair.
We held hands.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Journey and Tortilla ended up their souls ended up connecting.
The goth girl and the goth got together, which is very good. Very good.
It was so Breakfast Club. It's just like I'm so glad that happened.
All right, so this is going to be a quick question. Markia, whose character was the bravest?
Oh, okay. Well,
who did you think was the bravest?
Not Marcy. Oh, sorry.
Not Marcy. Oh, bless Marcy's heart. But germs are everywhere, and she's like a germaphobe. So it's just like she's not going to be going into somewhere first. I think. I mean, my first thought was Tortilla, but I really kind of feel like Cricket was always prepared. Cricket was like, they were going to be Eagle Scout one day if they weren't already. I think you have to be a certain age to be Eagle.
Oh yeah, we renamed
Mushroom Scout.
Yeah, we renamed everything to be. I think I was a Mushroom Scout, but I wanted to be a Phoenix Scout, and I completely.
That's what it was.
JV was like, Michelle, you renamed all the Scout things, and you forgot. I'm like, well.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
because Cricket was growing, and I think out of everybody,
I was the youngest, I think, or maybe Marcy was, but we were this. I think maybe me and Marcy were the same age, like 11ish, 12ish.
Maybe I think something like that. I know that I think Journey and Tortilla were closer to ages and were like older, but like 13, 14.
Yeah, we were teenagers, like middle teenagers.
Yeah, but it's just like as far as I guess I picture it like who would walk through the swinging saloon doors first.
Oh,
that is definitely Cricket. Where it's just like scout in the room. All right,
because
scout in the room.
Yeah. Yes, my voice was like this, and it was very hard to keep up for the whole episode. I think innocence can make someone seem courageous because they don't know fear yet. So there's that.
Michelle, who would you say was the bravest?
Me. I think Journey had good moments. I think if you ask Cricket would say Tortilla or Journey because they were the big kids, and big kids are always braver. They don't understand the nuance of what courage means or bravery means.
And then Louise, who would Tortilla say was the bravest?
I think Tortilla would try to convince people, especially ladies his age, that he was the bravest, but I don't think he would think he was, for sure. I don't know. There's something about that dark poetry though that was like something to it. So I think that would take the win for Tortilla. I mean, if you can write that.
I literally wrote poetry for
in the episode.
For like this. For just like this band of trick-or-treaters. It's just like that just happened.
It's awesome.
Wow. So in episode 2, you were given your quest to free the spirit of Sam Hain before the sun rises. And your trick-or-treaters were braving rooms that were based on their deepest fears and other Halloween horrors. And what seems to be a theme for this channel, there were in fact zombies.
Like who would have thought?
Yes.
Who was afraid of zombies? Was it Tortilla?
I think it was out. No, I think they were outside.
Yes, you're
making
right,
their way towards the house.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, I was afraid of. I couldn't swim, so my whole thing was about, having to swim across the room.
Yeah.
Interesting. And struggling to do that.
Yeah, mine was I believe it was claustrophobia, so I had to go through vents, like small vents, like in the these tunnel like vents. Ugh. Yeah, no. That's a big old nope.
Marcy had a giant pile of trash.
What?
Oh, God, yeah.
Because of the germaphobe.
Germaphobe.
That's amazing.
Ugh.
That's hilarious.
What was crickets?
Yeah.
I believe it was spiders, but it was very. Even though I'm like an insect person, the spiders were the one bad thing I did not like.
Oh, not gonna get that spider badge.
That spider badge will never happen. Yes.
Okay, so there is actually a clip from this episode that I'd like to look at, and it relates like Michelle. Pretending to be a little kid is fun because you can say stuff like cooties and kissing is gross. So let's take a look at that if we can then.
It's not, maybe I have before done some of that really rebellious stuff. Because I'm definitely not a goody-goody.
Well, you had to break your hand somehow, and it was probably fighting the Sandman.
I think, yeah. I'm just going to say yeah to that.
And then Journey just starts walking back towards the house.
Okay.
I go over to Marcy. Marcy, I hope we don't get all weird when we get in high school. These guys are bonkers.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, they like clearly have something bigger going on, and they're just like,
Yeah. Right? Ew, it's so gross. Kissing all the germs. Ugh.
oh, bro, they're basically making out in front of us. It's just unspeakable.
Ugh.
We all go inside the house.
So you guys go inside the house.
I mean, to be honest, like I was that kid for a long time. I know who I am.
I have to say, Melee is so cute, and her character is so. Marcy was very good. I loved her. Her voice was so cute, and I loved her so much. I think about that. Like, it pops into my head once in a while when I'm like walking around like my house. I think about Marcy going, "Okay," it's very good. I will also say that remember when you were kids and like having cooties or not was such a big part of your day. Like, it was so important to like your social equality. If someone had cooties or not, I was often the cootie haver in grade school. I will tell you right now. Oh my god! But I think that was fun. It was fun to make choices like, they're having a moment. Ew, gross moment. Like like friend, even like vaguely friendly moments are disgusting because I am a small child who knows nothing of romance.
Cricket. I think I might have been Cricket when I was a kid.
I think we were all a little bit Cricket. We all had this sense of like not knowing what things, like we had no maturity at all. We had no sense of what was dangerous or what is a real relationship with characters, or are we actually friends or not. There's none of that judginess. You just have like this openness to everything. But then like the three things you know about the world are very like set in stone. Like spiders are bad, cooties are bad, and everything else is probably fine.
I think it was more like Marcy, a mix of Marcy and Tortilla as a kid, because I was kind of a timid, shy, scared of things kid. I definitely wasn't Cricket. I wish I was. I aspire to be more Cricket.
Yeah, I was definitely a mixture of Tortilla and Journey, where it's just like on the one hand being completely oblivious when someone liked me until they like held my hand, and then also I had a journal or diary or whatever you want to call it, and tried to write in pig Latin and backwards just in case someone found it, like just it's a late room. Oh my god,
security. Yeah.
So the new thing is that if you haven't seen those episodes, go back and watch those, and then we need to know what combination of kids you are.
Yeah,
tag yourself.
What combination of kids you were. Yep. All right, so let's go into something that I feel like we have plenty to talk about, especially considering it's still going on. Let's talk about Outbreak Undead, Rag and Bone. So the zombie apocalypse began in 1995. The year is now 2020, as we follow the trading exploits of some of the best of the worst types of survivors through the wilderness and farmlands beyond. So in this first clip, we're going to show you after finding the Ender's Safe House 113 and fending off some undead, the survivors debate how they handled the situation with Malibu Stacy. Let's take a look.
Small cinder block shack. You are all there. The door is closed. I believe you wanted to have a conversation.
During while the tape was playing, Achira was playing with the token around her neck, and then once it stopped, she stopped playing with it and looked around to make sure that nobody had seen her.
Fair enough.
I don't like to bring this up, but I mean, the communication was pretty straightforward. But also, I think we need to talk about what just happened outside.
Well, what always happens when someone gets bit?
In
I
my
think
experience, that isn't what usually happens. Usually, we just put them all the way down. In fact, I kind of expected it this time.
In
I
all
can.
fairness, it wasn't bit. It will look like scratches to me, not a bite.
and it was at least on somewhere where we could possibly try to stop it from spreading. A lot of the bites and scratches that I've seen have been more in this region, not really able to be saved. But I mean, we still don't know if she's going to be all right or not. So again, like I said, eyes to the sky on that one. But I hope she pulls through. She's going to be real upset about losing a shooting hand, though.
Well, she's either upset about the hand, or she's not upset at all because she's dead. So, I mean, where I'm from, we just kind of, if you got suspect someone, you just kind of lock them up for a little bit by themselves, or handcuff them, or I don't know. Just seems like it's a easy solution to wait a little bit, as long
When
as they're
faced with the
secure.
fury of a teenage girl who's just lost her ability to do her favorite thing for the rest of her life, I think she
mean,
might prefer to be dead.
You don't have to still.
She can learn a different way of doing things. If she learned anything from the era that she loves to emulate, she would have learned that there are so many episodes about doing, and then at that you feel like Achira just stops and then just looks over at Lampwick. Is there some particular reason why you felt it would be better to remove an arm than something more permanent? I think that I can speak for myself here that most times removing limbs doesn't remove the problem.
All right, so for this game, we have Knox running as our storyteller. We have Michelle playing Juniper's Song, Louise playing Lampwick, Melee playing Abigail Rose, and also Rowan, but we'll get into that, and Markia playing Akira Sampson. So there was a lot of themes in this that are still popping up, like how far is too far? What is right and what is wrong, and on what scale do we operate? Is it a scale? Is it a spectrum? Is it like a range? And to no surprise, how the hell do you deal with a zombie apocalypse? So we're 7 episodes in, and there is so much that has happened. And the first thing that I want to go off, and then I'm going to open this up to you all to really just delve into it. I want to hear what you have to say. Reformed scumbucket?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
elaborate, please.
Well, I mean, by design, we were asked to consider creating characters that have, how do you describe it? Histories that are not.
I think Knox said in these words, "You all are pieces of shit." So figure out how that is true.
Literally verbatim what Knox said. So he's like, pick your piece of shit character.
I'll go find my email where he said that.
Oh yes. Like read it off. Well, we got receipts. We got Knox receipts right now. So, but yeah, I mean that's why for Achira, I was like, what is the most scumbuckety thing that I can think of a person might do that would also be a really good survival aspect for them to have in a zombie apocalypse, because this person has survived for 25 years. Zombie apocalypse happened in 95. She was like, she keeps on lying about her age. So she was like 17ish when it happened. So that puts her in her late 30s, early 40s, depending on if it's true what she's saying for how old that she was. but with that, the most scum buckety thing that I could think of was someone who would abandon children. And so I built that into her backstory, that this is literally someone that will try to do what they did in the movies because, you know, that's it's the right thing to do, and then realize, you know what, I can't do this and I see no reason to stay, and then to like peace out, take some supplies with her and peace out. And it's like, yeah, that person would survive. I could see that person surviving for 25 years.
Michelle.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh,
please.
I was gonna say I did find the email, and I will quote the one. It was like a bullet list that knocks us things to think about our characters. He's like, please consider these points and I mentioned above, and then tell me, number 1, about the shitbag (parentheses) or former shitbag (end parentheses) character that you want to play.
Yes.
And then there's many sub bullet points, but I won't get into those.
Yeah.
Let's keep the curtain drawn there.
Mhm.
So it's really hard for me to play somebody who is not. I don't know. It's hard for me to play something like that. I guess I usually am someone who, even if I have a troubled past, I've made a new way in life. So I think my character is sort of a middle ground between all of that stuff. Juniper Song is one of a set of twins. My twin died, so that messed me up. But also, I was the only person born in the group who was born during the apocalypse. So I don't know anything about the previous world, which makes me, I guess, in a lot of ways, like Bean and like Ben 10 in the previous campaigns, very realistic about what's happening. In the clip, you saw me just be like, well, if someone's sick, you just lock them up or you kill them, and let's go. Like, there's too much conversation about this. Like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Role playing that is hard, I'll say, because I don't want to negate what other people are feeling or saying or trying to exude as their character, but my character would try to shut them down, you know, in a sort of like in game. So it's hard for me to do that, to yell things like stop talking, because Michelle does not want to stop them from talking. Yeah. My character is sort of, I guess, described as like a wild child, and all of my morals and things come from just survival. You know, the kind of person that would survive is something that you have to think about too when making this character that's survived for like many years after the end of times, which is a lot different from our first campaign. Outbreak with B Dave that we talked about earlier, those characters I think were not inherently bad or good. They just were like, oh, this happened to us, and this is us now. And these characters were so much different to make, because it was like, well, then how did you just survive? What kind of person did you have to become to survive? Which raises like a lot of moral questions, and it's a lot more interesting character building. But it's hard. It's hard to be like a shitbag for. I guess someone pointed out it's been almost 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So how many hours is that? Like 20
Oh
plus hours.
It's challenging. I mean, we're making entertainment, but it's also like, ooh, I feel bad. You feel bad when your character is making bad decisions. You kind of do.
Yeah.
I found myself slipping sometimes, where it's just like almost making a decision I would, and then it's like, no, bad. It's like, be a Chira. And then also there's a mole. This is a whole thing that is part of this game.
Programmed in it.
Yeah. So whoever the mole is right now, if they're here, they can't tell us they're the mole because they're not a cop. It's not the same thing. But we don't know who it is. It's not me, but I don't know who it is. So.
Or if it's any of us at all. It might not. It might.
If it isn't, I'm gonna be so mad if it's not one person though.
Wouldn't that be such a Nox thing to do though?
No, that would be mean.
There's a traitor amongst you.
Nox, if you're watching, you better not be fucking with us in this way.
No. Well, he did say he described them as someone whose interests are not completely in alignment with the groups and are more out for, I don't know, the way I interpret it is like more out for themselves and more willing to, like, you know, but I honestly kind of feel like we all have exhibited moments of that.
Yeah. It's built into our character.
Created shitbag characters.
Yes.
Yes, we have.
And again, we can't say for them all, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the thing that, because the thing that I think is really interesting about this approach is that, because I had to create a more in-depth backstory, I think, in order to for Lampwick, in order to kind kind of get behind some of that kind of point of view shift. And you know, for Lampwick, and it's revealed in a lot of ways, and like flashbacks and stuff, there's definitely he has a tendency in his past to have used people as a means to an end, and his kind of moral compass, there's certain types of people that aren't even people to him, they're just objects, and he's kind of totally willing to manipulate and seduce and do whatever it takes to, like, even if it breaks a person and causes them to like shoot themselves, because of, you know, he's willing to blackmail people, certain people. But there is a kind of like there is a moral compass there, but it's just not, it's just more confused. But you know, I think surviving in this world, it puts you in a position, it's put us all in a position to have to really like rely on each other in a way that maybe wouldn't have been exactly how we would have behaved pre-apocalypse, but like now it's like, because there's definitely been moments where we've had each other's backs, and they're surprising, they stand out to me, because I think I've been programmed, even as Lampwick, to view the world in such a dark way. But then that's also what has allowed him to survive, because you're perfectly primed to survive in the darkness. It's so twisted. I kind of love it.
Yeah, I know with Achira, like she lost her brother during the apocalypse, but it was suicide, and it was a very in-depth scene that went into with it with Nox, and where she ends up blaming her boyfriend's girlfriend at the time.
Brother's girlfriend.
Brother, what did I say?
You said boyfriend's girlfriend.
Boyfriend's girlfriend. Brother's girlfriend. Thank you. Brother's girlfriend, and ends up basically feeding her to a bunch of Romeros in an alleyway. And this is like, what? She totally kills a person, and she doesn't feel any remorse about it. So I feel like she has a sort of familial attachment with Lampwick because of the way that he talks, and how he like is able to talk his way out of situations and talk people on his side, type of a thing. And her brother was so easygoing and was like so charismatic, but was also a very good and pure soul. So I am just literally waiting for the time when Lampwick like shows his true colors to Achira, and the backlash that might happen with that.
Well, I don't know, at least. I mean, you tell us, but I feel like you were a shitbag and now you're nice because you haven't done anything mean since. Like, you haven't hit anyone.
Wait,
I mean, are we allowed to just, you know, we're allowed to talk everything that's happened, right? Like,
yeah, sure.
I mean, I killed somebody and got and not the last episode, but the one before that. There was the guy that was helping me.
Chuckwagon
was.
Oh, that's right.
helping
That's
me
true.
Get to.
Yeah.
So there's been moments where, it's just that kind of alignment, like, you know.
I think though it is, to me, that didn't read as something that was like evil, because you were still true to the team, which is to me the four of us.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That you did something bad to someone else. In Juniper's eyes, everyone outside of the group of four, the current group, is always bad. But the thing is, like, for Juniper, once I'm out of this group, I don't know about you guys anymore. But no, I didn't read that as bad. I think Zombie Apocalypse has different rules for like what's bad, what's good.
Right, but it's funny that because okay, let's step out of the point of view of these shitbag characters that we've created, and let's just like describe what Lampwick does, which is at this particular moment, we're fleeing a horde of Romeros, which are what the zombies are, one of the names that we call them, and they're gaining on us, and Lampwick is hurt, and he's relying on an NPC that's in this community, Chuckwagon. Basically, Chuckwagon is helping me get there, but I stumble and and in the moment, the gut reaction is fight or flight, kind of sort of a response. And I pushed Chuckwagon into the horde of the zombies to clear a path for my escape. Now there's like at least 100 other things that Lampwick could have done that wouldn't have resulted in Chuckwagon's like death like that at my hands. You know what I mean? Like, if I was falling, I could have just fallen. I could have dragged him down with me. You know what I mean? I could have screamed for help. You know what I mean? Like, well, I would have, me, who doesn't have like I don't think a murderous bone in my body, definitely wouldn't have had the instinct to, you know what the solution to this is right now? This guy, push him into the horde so that you can escape. I probably would have screamed, for help, or I don't know, something else. So it's just that like those moments of pressure where someone's gut reaction reveals something that's integral to their being, because it's impulse. And that is the thing that to me is challenging but exciting with this point of view, because it's so different from not just how I am, but all the characters, pretty much all the characters that I've played in a tabletop RPG, and the kinds of characters that I love to play. I am the like paladin hero that is, not lawful good.
That's you, because you're like a good person, like truly, and I think we tend to play easily the character that we can do, which is for you, paladin. For me, it's
totally what I would, especially when it's up to you, when you're left to your own devices to like, as opposed to having a writer come in and create a character for you, there's going to be tendencies, and I definitely have strong tendencies in the characters that I play. I'm never going to play a warlock in Dungeons and Dragons. It's just not what. Just not what college, unless
challenge accepted.
I know, right? Jeez.
You don't know how much fun you would have.
I mean, I would. I'm having fun playing Lampwick. I'm having fun playing Lampwick. So I don't know. I could talk about this campaign for days and days and days, because it's just so much.
It's so good. Yes, literally, it's so much. Like, I love you saying that about Lampwick, because it's like literally my character is in denial of what she saw and is trying to convince the doctor that there has to be another reason for pushing Chuckwagon into a horde of zombies. Like literally, she kept saying, I'm sure there's something else, we just don't know. And she's got brother issues and she doesn't realize it. And I wonder what will happen when she finally does.
I can't wait. Like, ooh. I can't wait to see how that unfolds. It's like super compelling, like,
man, because drama. Like we were talking about impulse stuff, like early on, impulse wise, Ichiro was just like, y'all are staying in this bunker, huh? Even though we looked outside and everything, there's carnage outside, the rest of our party is outside, you're staying, I'm out. Peace. And just like literally ran into the dark, into the Romero infested dark, to just be like, you know what, better on my own. And that's like one of those impulse things.
Yeah. Oof.
I want to interject.
Yes, please.
Who the hell is Malibu Stacy?
Oh,
the best NPC ever.
The best NPC ever. How do we describe Malibu Stacy? So in the beginning of this campaign, we're like the rag and bone. We're like, I guess like scavengers and scouts. We're like a group of people that gathers resources and moves them from one place to another across these, different communities of survivors. And so we're kind of, essential in the kind of connective tissue between these different communities. And because, the apocalypse happened in 1995, technology never got to advance even close to what we get to enjoy today. So Malibu Stacy was, initially our band consisted of 7 people. It was the 4 of us plus 3 NPCs, and Malibu Stacy was one of them. And she was, I think, the only other person in our group that was born young. She was born during the apocalypse, and so she had all these kind of antisocial kind of qualities to her. But a couple of you guys had bonded with Malibu Stacy over some stuff. I don't remember what it was, because I don't think Lampwick bonded with Malibu Stacy, not specifically. But I think you both did.
Malibu Stacy was super into the 90s. And Achira was just like, so like that was like, oh yeah, let's talk 90s, because that's what Achira had to like hold on to. Like, in fact, whenever she ran across a VHS, whether she had to steal it or not, and she did steal a VHS, Pretty in Pink actually, from a bunker. Yeah, so Malibu Stacy and her like connected so hard on that, like to the point where later on, when Outbreak Undead being what it is,
yeah,
I mean, don't get too attached to
Unforgiving.
anybody.
Not even us, like not us.
Not even, right? Not
no.
even us, you know. Rest in peace, Abigail, Malibu Stacy, Bean's left arm. I mean, it's like Outbreak Undead. Don't get too attached to anybody or anything. Yeah, when circumstances happened with like how they happened, I forget exactly what happened with her, but she ended up getting bit, and our band tried to do what we had done with Bean in an earlier campaign, which was an amputation. And during that, Achira started singing the Cheers song to Malibu Stacy, because like an iconic 90s, and then also the lyrics in it were very poignant at the time.
It was a great scene. I love that. I remember my character was cringing, but everyone else was like, because I didn't know what was going on, but everyone else was like so down.
And I mean, it wasn't successful.
We've had so few successes in this game.
So few successes.
So the characters in this game are specifically not good people. I am almost positive. Like each of you had a moment where you were just going about your day, and then you had a moment you were like, wow, my character did that. Like, completely just going about. Okay, so Louise, it sounds like you have one that you can think of right now.
Okay, so there's a lot in the history. So wait, okay, all right. Before I want to say this before I forget it, because for Lampwick, I don't think Lampwick would say that he's not a good person. I don't think he walks around saying I'm not a good person. I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
I think he walks around thinking the world isn't a good world.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get by.
That makes sense.
And I mean, that's his particular point of view, because there are people I think that he would be good to, but there are people that he would go out of his way to not be good to. Yes. But because in his point of view, which could be twisted perhaps a little bit, they deserve what they have coming. Yeah, I mean, okay, well, we already talked about him pushing Chuck Wagon, which was, since he was introduced, was described as like a very decent person. Yeah. I mean, he was, and Lampwick knows how to clock these kinds of people, because that's who he went to lean on as someone who can support his injured self in the escape, knowing that this good-natured person wouldn't leave me behind. Because if you're someone whose moral compass is questionable, then you kind of, I think Lampwick has a good sort of instinct on who else may be in alignment with that. And he saw Chuck Wagon as someone who was like, nope, this dude's a heart of gold. You're perfect. So there was that thing that happened, but then even in a flashback, we learned that basically I took a child that was abandoned and used the child as a prop to the day that like apocalypse kind of hit. Use the child as a prop to help kind of get through a crowd. Because now all of a sudden I had a kid, and so people were going to sympathize with me more. So there's a daughter that Lampwick had in his history for a period of time, and that person is not in the present.
I'm so upset and interested and intrigued to find out what happens, but I don't want to also. Like, and I think that's sort of what Nox is going for.
It's like, that reminds me of like Juniper. Like, there's Juniper and Olive, her sister. Olive is not around right now. Juniper has not really mentioned Olive either.
No, I've not talked about it at all to the group in character. We had a flashback where it was like a brief one where you do see when Olive dies, my twin.
Oh,
it was a really quick. It was a very, very like. I think it was more of like a Noxious describing it.
Okay.
And there's not a lot. Yeah, so we haven't really like exactly what happened, like what led to that point. We haven't gotten there, but we have seen Olive will kill for her sister, and she has done so, and we are just all cool with it. And I think that you know, when we were role playing that moment, I think I was given an opportunity to do the murder before my sister, but in character, I was like, no, I go to sleep, and I go to sleep in this house. So these people helped us basically. They're like, oh, you guys are starving, come in, we're gonna help you. And we're like, whatever, go to sleep. Olive is like, I don't trust these people. I say, me neither, let's just leave in the morning. Olive, spoilers,
please,
gets up and kills the leader of the house, the man, and wakes in, and I'm woken up by the screams from someone discovering this. And then we just we leave. We like just set everything on fire and we leave. I built that into my character, is that's our MO. We go into communities. Everyone takes pity on us because we're small and cute, and we take things and leave. So because that's built into my character, you know, trying to find a reason while I'm staying with you, this group with the Rag and Bone, has been actually very difficult for me, Michelle, because I'm like, well, I think I would leave right away, but also but as a player in a game, I can't just keep leaving either, you know? So it's been hard for me to figure out like, why would I stay? And Nox gave me one, which is, you know, if you guys are caught up, there's a set of twins that I'm helping right now that I'm sort of trying to save.
An attachment, yeah.
Yeah, I found an attachment, yeah.
Yeah, I completely feel you, because like when I left with my character early on, I had to go into that, what was it? The Varus of my character was like, how did I leave without grabbing any of those oranges? I have to go back for the oranges so that I can trade.
But you also had a scary, were you in a water tower or something like that?
A tree.
Truck?
A tree. I had a choice between a tree or the rusty water tower, and I believe I chose the tree to spend the night in with like bungee cords and everything, because like Achira is a stealthy rogue like character. Although when we were talking about like dark things that, you know, we've done and everything, I feel like her present day stuff has been more on above board than literally every one of her backstories. A minimum of one person is someone she kills. Usually it's multiple people, and that's
abandons and leaves to die. That's basically
you can't leave like children and a baby in an apartment building and expect for that to be like, they'll be all right.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm pretty sure
it's like that's not how that goes. You know what you're doing when you're walking through the door. You just literally didn't want to waste the bullets, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, she's killed old people so far. She's killed old people. She's killed children. She's killed her her brother's girlfriend, who, you know, had it coming. She
had it coming. She did it herself, basically.
So I think, but what I was going with, like, the avarice got me back to the group, and then the brother issues kept me with the group. So if they survive enough, well, if Lampwick survives enough for there to be a conversation.
I'm on the verge of death right now.
You're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's cool.
Everything's fine. The doctor may treat you.
We'll see.
I want recaps of this show called Ragtime. I'm putting that out into the universe.
Oh God! You figured it out. You solved the puzzle.
Nice.
That's perfect. You know what? on Hunter's Gathering, I usually recap what happens
Yes.
over the thing. I will give you total credit. That is now called Ragtime.
Oh my god, I love
perfect.
it.
Everything I
Please play
want.
that crappy music too. Ragtime music.
Yeah, I'm also I'm realizing how like we're all just kind of like vomiting out of sequence all these moments, and anyone who hasn't watched it is just like, whoa, who knows what's going on
To
in
be
their head.
fair, the show is out of sequence because we do stuff and then we have all these
Yes.
really deep and involved, important flashbacks, and I think that's how the show is designed by Nox, and it's I think it's really lovely.
I feel like no matter how much stuff you tell me, there's still like you've given me 1/5 of the shock and awe that the show is going to continuously give. So okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, when can we watch this show since it is ongoing?
It is Tuesdays, 6 p.m. PT, and it will be going through December. We do have the full cast doing that, so you will be able to get your Outbreak Undead Rag and Bone fix with whatever happens.
Yeah, we're not taking a break through the holidays. We're just doing it.
No,
so.
we're still doing it.
Come with us, children.
And look,
Be a
holiday during the apocalypse.
I would like to plead with anyone who's watching, please watch the show, and like there's mechanisms built in for you, the audience and chat, so that you can give us boons essentially and help us survive. And I really right now, Lampwick needs everything you got. So please watch Tuesday. Watch on Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, watch on Friday too. Watch Hunter's Gathering on Fridays. Well, next week. Because you get scribe points for that too. We're dark Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and then we're back January 8th.
Right.
But you got scribe points right now for watching this, right?
Mm-hmm. So the window open, baby.
Whenever you watch live.
I need you to watch on Tuesday to use those scribe points so that I live.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yes, please.
We need another hype tank. So
we also have like sub goals every week, and if we don't hit them, then we don't get an extra competency point to help us add a stuff. So,
yes, that is 15 subscribers or 100 followers. And then like Nox just finds a kind of delight when we don't meet that goal.
He's so happy when he tells us at the top of the show, he's like, you didn't meet your goal, so you only got 3 competency points. I'm like, cool, well, gonna die, bye. Spent a lot of time making this character, but okay.
So we have a very short clip that I want to look at from you, Michelle.
Yes.
That seems, from what I've heard about Juniper, pretty on brand of, trying to whisper, and it did not come out a whisper. Let's take a look.
So what do you try to whisper?
You know what? I'm gonna whisper it, and if everyone hears it, that's too bad, I guess. Hey, I'm pretty sure the gate's effed, and I think that Abigail will make the same assessment, and we're all gonna go to the mine and hole up. Oh, I did not use my whisper voice.
What is this mine? Nobody had told me anything about a mine before.
No, it's everyone knows about it. It's wow, that was such a loud whisper.
So there has been so much chaos with this show that is one of the best things that I think we get to enjoy. But that's also given us some amazing like fan art of the Rag and Bone crew by Caleb. And so let's take a look at some of that's come out of it.
Oh yes, I love this thing.
Yeah, Caleb Cleveland is our art director of Hunters Entertainment. And an episode of Hunter's Gathering, he did this for us for the original Rag and Bone crew.
That's so cool.
It's Knoxwell Birth in the background, looking very congenial at all of us.
Yeah, he's a little cropped out, but he's the tentacle thing you see above us. But don't worry, it's spooky
with his eyes. But yeah,
honestly,
there's
not seeing it makes it more terrifying to me because it's like that. Like, what's behind me?
He's looming for show.
Yeah, we literally did an episode where Caleb drew, and I did a scenario with chat where we did 13th Precinct, which is Outbreak Undead, that you can get for free on drivethrurpg.com. Yeah, these are the things that we do on Fridays, y'all.
Yeah,
Like,
tune in.
join in. This is
They're
fun.
already here. They're hooked in.
I
now.
know. I love seeing so many like regulars in here. It just warms my heart. Speaking of which, I wanted to do a shout out to Jules Does Stuff 15, who did an awesome fan art. I don't have it here to show because I didn't get their permission ahead of time because I only thought about it after we had started. But I will say to them, Marcus, Amanda, Nora, Omar, Baby Faith. They made a fan art of the children that Achira left behind.
The chant.
Yes,
They made a fan art
the
of basically
chant.
the chant. I would say.
It
was
in
beautiful.
like a geometric form. I have it on my Twitter. I hardly recommend
I'm looking it up right now.
everyone.
I wanna see this.
Jules, if you want to post it, just
I'll retweet it right now.
Okay,
so
Jules says you have my permission.
Yeah,
it's in the
let me
Discord.
retweet it.
And don't forget, guys, we have Discord, so jump in there. Whoop.
Yeah, Discord community.
Again, like I said, I love fan art so much, but we haven't had a chance to get any because we haven't done a long series until Rag and Bone. So I'm so grateful to have the time to have our characters sit with you and make an impression on you that you would want to do fan art. And I think that's amazing. Art begets art. Look at us. This is all art.
Yeah, I just retweeted it. It's at the top of my feed now.
I'm coming to see it.
So good.
Yeah,
That's
thank you for that.
exciting and upsetting at the same time.
It is. It makes you feel crazy, which is the point. So thank you, Jules Does Up, for that, and also Jules Does Up put a bunch of quotes, their favorite quotes in the chat. So feel free to take a look at that. I loved all of the quotes. It's like mean stuff Nox has said to us, dumb stuff Luisa said. It's very good.
Oh, I got a lot of dumb stuff that I say.
Yes,
I want to see that.
Okay, so Lord, we would talk about this for hours, but we have one more thing that I really want to talk about that is also one of the most like unexpected games that I got the chance to even like play in a little bit. But on a side note, but you all did a one shot of Gods of Metal Ragnarok, Masquerade of Madness. So the night before the big concert, the heavy metal band Glory and the Skeletons crashed an exclusive party at the Golden Rod in hopes of becoming the go-to security team for the concert's headliners. And so we have a clip to show all of you. The epic avatars make their way into glorious battle, a battle which we'll experience directly soon in our exciting upcoming conclusion. Let's take a look.
Stay there and like bring probably Hexus and Carthusis up since they're both making their way through the crowd at the moment.
Do I feel like if I do that she's moving slow enough that I will still be able to keep my eye on her in that time, or do I feel like I might lose her around a corner if I do that?
I mean, there's a chance like she could go through a door while you're turning, and you could lose her, but you'd have a pretty good idea at least where she was going potentially. So
I've got eyes too.
I'll try to at least help one of them up.
Okay. All right. Who wants to get boosted up first? Hexus, Carthusis?
I could throw my hair up there again, unless Carthusis has a better plan.
No, I think Hexus definitely would because Carthusis got double ones on bashing through the crowd. So,
yeah, double feedback.
There's that.
So as you're attempting to mosh, you're feeling all the counter energy of the people like slamming against you to the point of where you're actually attempting to try to hit people, and you're not even avoiding the best case. You're not even doing the path of least resistance. You're slamming into people intentionally, hoping that they will move, but instead you're just getting wave after wave. And as you're like kind of shoving people aside and kind of moving things forward, you do see like a small kind of lithe form kind of cartwheel out into the main part of your vision in front of you as you feel a rope like wrap around your neck as it comes into it. So now we can go into combat. We can start into there. So because at least one of them has engaged you at the moment.
I can say literally that this is the most metal game that I have ever played. and it's literally built with mechanics to make that happen. The representation of an avatar that is your metal side and then your mundane version of self, and that like disconnect as well as how it connects to each other, freaking amazing.
You're role playing in a game of role playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
You literally get to be the most mundane aspect of yourself and then get to also be the most rock aspect of yourself. And depending on what happens in the adventure, you cross into one and then the other. I mean,
it's almost like it's like an immediate, you start the game giving yourself salvation for being a normal person. It's amazing. And the game is so fun by itself when you're already a quote unquote avatar, metal god. But then to have that as your backstory, that you used to be a librarian or a police officer or a janitor, and just like you got to be super metal despite that or because of that is such a cool premise.
So we had the cast of, we had Ivan Van Norman, our fantastic storyteller. We had Melee playing Gloryhammer, but this time I want each of you to introduce yourself. And Michelle, I'm going to start with you.
Oh my God. Okay. So what was great about this character creation is that it was so loose that we basically clocked in at 5 p.m. Ivan was like, here's some character sheets, make up a name. And I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
We basically for an hour suss out our characters like quickly. And that's how quick the game can go. You can just make up stuff on the fly. There's a lot of preset things out for you that are really easy to plug in. And I guess people don't know this yet because the game's not out yet, but it's coming. Just more on that later. So my character was Hexus. I was a vaguely Scandinavian god who had long hair. I was basically Cousin It, but a metal god. And in my mundane life, I was, I believe, an animal shelter worker. So I'd seen a lot of good and bad things people had done to animals. So I was very like, beasts are our friends. Unless they're bad boys, then we have to kill them. And I was also, again, the weirdo of the group, which I'm seeing a pattern emerging. Yes. Okay. I don't know. I think that's my character. I don't know. I had a lot of, I don't have my character sheet pulled up, but it was just, I mean, the spines of my enemies were on the spine of me, and I would channel energy through what was a harp or I like made an instrument out of like bones or something. I literally can't remember because it was just, everything was crazy. So awesome. It was one episode.
Crazy. It's so crazy.
We would just say things and I would be like, yes, that's what you're doing. That's exactly what's happening. And it was so funny.
This is the outlandish stuff I talked about earlier. It's like, this is what I've signed on for. Beautiful.
Louise, who was your character?
All right. So my character, I don't know what the hell we were doing. I had heard of the game, but I knew nothing about it. So I show up, I log in, I see Michelle, her hair and her makeup, all crazy and out of control. And I literally go, shit. And I'm like just in a t-shirt, just not prepared. So I was like, be right back. And I went and I got whatever little paint I had and I just went.
You did such a good job though. You did like Valkyrie face paint like so quickly and good.
It looks good. You had such a good background too that you picked.
Yeah, look at that.
I'll tell you, it's because I showed up and I saw Michelle and I was like, it's the moment I saw what you did, and you're always awesome. Like
yes.
It made me know what this world. I knew what I was in for because of what you looked like, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then I took off for like 10 minutes and came back with Sabotage, basically. And the same thing, we just kind of made them up as we went. And I knew that because of the I guess the archetype or the class really that I had, I was the only one that was required to have a musical instrument be a ranged weapon or something. And I was and then I just knew that this world was just ridiculous. So I created a guitar that had saber-toothed tiger fangs all around it, and it was I would like swing it like a bat at my enemies, and the fangs would detach and fling through the air like boomerangs. And basically, the makeup that I smeared on my face and the description of this random guitar with saber-tooth fang boomerangs was how Sabatov was born. Basically, who definitely is a titan, like with muscles on muscles on muscles. Because why not? And and we haven't discussed this yet, but my mundane life, I'm a parking attendant. So like I'm the guy that has to ticket people, that then gets yelled at for ticketing people, but I'm just doing my job. And you're breaking the rules, but also I feel bad for some people, and sometimes fudge the rules, but also like I am the bad guy. I like ruin people's day, but also screw them. So that's my mundane. And that's what I got.
That's fair. And then Markia, who were you in this metal world?
Oh, as Carthusis, the artifact. So I've been sitting with Carthusis for a while, and Carthusis is it's so many things. She's a she or a they, not particular, but like she is gigantic and has a onesie crafted of the galaxy. A galaxy crafted onesie, like a wrestler, like a WWE wrestler. Her boots are made of wolves. Wolf's head crafts the boots. Her cape is made of piranha. Full cape, blowing in the wind. Along with this, she has a halogenic fanny pack filled with power. In plays the majestic and extremely metal rock flute, kind of like the Little Mermaid, where you can't play the flute, you can't play the harp, but metal.
Well, Marquis, isn't this the character you already had made from a previous thingy?
Yes,
Special?
I've been living the Carthusis life. Like I had an opportunity to make a new one for our thing, but literally I am feeling Carthusis so hard. Like I literally named her Carthusis because yes, Cthulhu. Yes, that, but also she's a catharsis for me. So therefore she's Carthusis, and she's artifact because you're effed. When she comes on the scene, that is Carthusis. Carthusis artifact. In her mundane life, I broke Luis.
We were just like going so off the rails. By the way, there's no scripts. It's like
this is how I live. This is what I do. This is how I live. And
Oh
in
my God.
her mundane life, she is a science center docent. So she's literally the person in science centers that goes around and is like, do you want to know how the organs of the body work? Let's reach into stuffy. And then like pulls out like plush organs. Do you know how I'm able to like give those specifics? Because I worked at a science center in Orlando, Florida. It was the worst, which is why Carthusis is Mitty Pressman, Science Center docent. So, I mean, we haven't been able to go into Carthusis's mundane life yet. In things, she's been pretty good about. She's a little bit like Satya with the whole fist raise head first, but she has the coming togetherness that Pharaoh has. So I don't know. She's oh God, I love her.
I said when we were playing this, I think on stream or in our like kind of creation session before it, I said like early on that I felt like I was on drugs, like playing this with you guys, and it is for sure the truth.
Michelle, what was your mundane life?
Oh, I was a animal.
Oh, the shelter.
Animal shelter worker. Yeah.
Okay, that one's a normal,
Yeah.
mundane one.
I had a normal one. Everyone else had crazy ones.
Oh my gosh. And this episode is up on YouTube as well, correct?
Yes. And it's very good. And it's not finished. It was a part 1. It didn't mean to be, it was meant to be a one shot, but we didn't get to any battle, any combat because we were too busy messing around.
Oh my god.
So we'll get more is what you're saying.
Yes. That's the
I don't know.
idea, I think.
Yeah, no, that is definitely the idea. In fact, anyone like in chat or let's go ahead and I believe even Ivan's in chat right now. Go ahead and press for a part 2.
I need it.
Because we have that planned, but we don't have a date for it. So, hey, Ivan, adore you, babe. Go ahead and also, is it at HydraLord on Twitter? Or with Twitch is at Hydra_Lord.
We're not telling you to cyberbully, but if you want to, that's fine. You went, what in chat?
You know what? I think that's a great place for us to start wrapping up. I am going to do this, and I'm going to keep in Ivan's good graces. So you know what? Is there anything else like to finish up here?
So I mean, Hunter's Gathering, we do a lot of the recaps for all of the shows that you have seen here. And we're normally on Fridays, unless, something happens with Ivan in 2021 now. And I'm joking. It would be because of us trying to bring like the news in different ways to you in 2021. But with Ragnarok in particular, if you have very much enjoyed what you have been hearing with like how we've been expounding upon it, especially with Gabe, the Kickstarter for this is projected to start in January. So like I said, projected 2020 is weird, but just letting you know, it's projected to start in January. So prepare for this, because all of this, you can back it. And the things that are lined up, please look at other Hunters Gatherings or contact Alex. Alex, our community guy, in our Discord. I know I'm just putting everybody.
The way you said it was like, here's his number, DM him. Like the way you said it.
Yeah, you can follow us on Kickstarter like right now. So I mean, Hunters Entertainment, do that. And join our Discord community, follow, subscribe. We're always talking about it, but literally you can have this goodness in your home. And there's so many amazing things that we're planning with this. Like I can't go into specifics, but there's so much rock goodness, and we'll need that to rebel out of what 2020 was. So,
well, you know what, Markia, since you've given us so much, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Markia McCarty. That's MarkiaMcCarty. Let's talk nerd stuff, RPG games, everything. Sailor Moon. I love that Michelle has like right in the back. Yes, I like that. I mean, literally, there are few nerddoms that I don't enjoy. So at me and let's just chat.
Deal. Mm-hmm. And Michelle, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me especially on Twitter at I am Chubby Bunny. I do shows. Lord, I feel like I've been recording every day this week, and I'm in a charity special tomorrow. The charity D20. It's very hard to say. Look at my Twitter. It's the last thing I posted about. We're doing a small stream for our charity at 2 p.m. Pacific time, where I get to play a teen warlock who is also a queen bee. It's very fun.
Awesome. And Louise, what about you?
Social media, my name first and last, that combination you'll find me on Twitter, on Instagram. You'll see I'm here every Tuesday with these guys, and if you have watched LA by Night or you want to go back and rewatch LA by Night, you'll see me as Nines on that, and that is definitely intended to return at some point in the future. And then, look out for something that is going to be watchable around the Grammys and or Super Bowl that you'll see me in. That will be pretty widespread. And there's other TV shows that you guys can find that I've been on. And yeah, follow me, and I'll let you guys know about any of that stuff.
Last but not least, I'm Gabe. You can find me at Gabe James Games across the internet. But most importantly, I want to thank the team for putting all of this together, for allowing us to tell these stories, for allowing me to enjoy this moment with you, and the mods for helping us keep this together, helping like interact with chat, get chat the information they need, controlling all the links and everything. Thank you so much for joining us for this fantastic recap. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And here is to more very exciting, very terrifying, very interesting stories on Hunters Entertainment. Take care.